pug.
That's not silence. That's not silence. Do I have to go over silence with you?
You did start the DVR one this time, right?
I'll review silence if I need to. All right. Here
the Sergeant at Arms says quiet.
All right. Quiet there shall be. Hey, David! Woohoo!
Yeah, David!
You got a promotion, David?
Absolutely! Synaptic, you are cool. Darren, you rock. Malcolm! Alrighty. Well,
we are easily entertained.
That we are. Good evening, all. I hope. I hope we. You know what? I hope we survive it through this nonsense. That's what I hope. Alrighty. Let us look to the list. I hope everyone noticed that David has had a promotion. He's up to full professor now, which is pretty damn cool. Alrighty. Well, let's see. I think the only housekeeping we have to take care of is to announce that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our anniversary show. It's our second anniversary of Science Strike Force, and we're hoping to include folks from all of our various areas, G+, and from Facebook, and from Twitter, and all that sort of thing. And a good time will be had by all. So, that's it. Oh, and we got the, Andy, we got the special announcement. We can make the special announcement tomorrow. You recall that announcement, I trust?
We're going to have to discuss where that lies.
Later. The good thing we were going to do for Earth in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll
talk about it.
Yeah. Anyway, we're doing something exceptionally cool. Alrighty.
Indeed.
And very good. On that note, let us see what foolishness we have tonight.
PTSD the musical. Good one, Fino. RJ.
Yeah?
I'm going to see what I can do about getting hold of Aaron Rod and engaging you about the turtle thing you were talking about during Evolutionary.
Oh, there we missed somebody.
Because I've been looking at the same statistics he's using, and I think he might actually be onto something.
Alrighty, let's see. Here we go. Tonight's fun. Let us look down the list and see what. Oh, Captain! Captain gave us a recommendation that we were going to hit last week, but you recall last week it was that. We have. Let's see. Tell me if this is the correct one. Biblical inspiration validated by science. Is that the one?
Yeah, the second part, because that's where he makes all the scientific claims, which are highly inaccurate. And laughable.
You mean what he thinks are scientific claims, right?
yeah, and the one where I am almost 100% positive that he uses Behe as a reference. So yeah, he is. Like I say, he's Kent Hovind level stupid.
Alrighty.
That might even be an understatement.
I'll be honest with you. I'd rather have Behe than Luskin.
All right.
Because Luskin's an attacker.
Oh, either one will do.
Yeah, he's
no. I have a special distaste for the Disco Toots pet, the Disco Toots favorite attack gerbil.
Well, Luskin's he was their paleontology department until Beckley showed up.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad you're here, RJ, because I was like, oh boy, if RJ could join in when we do this one, he's gonna have a field day with this guy.
Indeed, and we're all gonna learn, and we're all gonna learn something.
I'll put my drink announcement on speed dial.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think about every other sentence you might be calling drink. So yeah,
Well,
let the booze flow.
RJ, you have to give me at least half a second before you call drink, because I might actually have my own set of evidence.
Oh my! Well, all right.
Here, I gather we have a challenge here, a race to the finish line.
Well, we will just have to follow.
Understand, those guys live within the Disco Toot is within driving distance of me. I mean, easy driving distance of me. I have a particular distaste for them. If I could actually shape a neutron charge, I'd probably use it.
Well, there's one guy who was trying to get a debate between me and Casey, but that never materialized. I think he may have remembered his interaction with me and decided maybe he didn't want to do that.
Well, it's because Casey doesn't work for the Disco Toot anymore. He got fired.
Oh, I didn't know he was fired. I thought he had just left to go off and do home ed stuff.
No. They canned him. They canned him, and it turned out that his failure to appear. He withdrew as a professional witness for Kitzmiller. It actually the list of crimes started there.
So what was his? Could you learn the primary excuse as to what he had done wrong that caused him to be axed?
I think he engaged somebody and was turned inside out. He engaged a YouTuber on some other media, and he got his shit turned inside out.
And like Trump with his friends, that does not look good for the organization. So boop, out he goes.
I'm actually glad you guys are talking because I had to fill the mug of truth. So excellent. that was appreciated. I'm glad you guys had some good fill there.
I'm gonna be straight with you. This was actually much worse than what you're thinking of, RJ. Much worse. He was turned inside out in about 3 paragraphs.
What was can you recall the topic he was talking about?
Dinosaur bird transition.
Yeah. Hey, Sai, what's the record on the mug of truth fills? Because I think this video might give you a run for it.
The record so far is 4.5, and remember the mug of truth is fairly large.
I've never seen it actually, so I don't know how big it is. So
well, it's
you
glass.
Use it as a doorstop when not in use. There, Si?
One could. It actually holds 3 standard size bottles of beer, and and it's glass.
So you're actually you are looking at almost a liter and a half. That being said, Si, you yourself, about a month or so ago, made the claim that you had finished 5 of them.
Si, Robert just said no DVR mode on live stream. Did you forget to set that again?
I wonder if I could. I wonder if I can set it while we're running. All right, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, we'll restart.
Okay.
Crazy.
All right, everybody. I'm going to enable it now.
In a minute, RJ, but I do want. But you and I at some point we'll have to have a chat about the turtle thing, because I think Aaron Ra's actually right.
Is this on the formation of turtle shells?
This is on the cladistics of the turtle as not being an actual reptile, but something very closely related there too.
Oh well, I mean it's in the diapsid group somewhere knocking around in there. It's far more interesting.
From what we're seeing, it actually split before the anapsid diapsid change.
Well, that could be convergent. I won't lose any sleep over it. I think it's much better that we know so much now about how the shell forms.
Well, the shell formation, the closest critter that they had for that was found for appropriate shell formation was a fossil set. Was a set of fossils that did some significant convergence over time. The damn things looked like they were just overgrown bulldogs or pigs.
Well, the main thing is it's involved the developmental biology of it. It's the widening out of the rib bones. And
Of the rib bones,
that,
yeah, and that was an early anapsid that was actually along the original. That was actually along the original line. It kind of diverged when the diapsids kind of left.
But yeah, I was going to say for a little.
The synapse, excuse me, before the synapsid, there was anapsids, synapsids, and diapsids. The synapsids went kind of that way, and then the diapsids broke off to the right. And your original older and newer anapsids, you had that going on, and it seems like it was actually part of the original line and not the synapsid diapsid breaks.
No, well, as I said, they're reptile-y enough for my tastes.
Okay, does everyone have the public chat up?
Yeah,
I can see the public chat, and we're at
Mr. Unite for the Children has the perfect explanation for turtle shell development. I like it.
Yeah.
Remember, turtles all the way down.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say something on the video we're getting ready to watch. This should tell you how smart this guy is. In a previous video he did, the set that I started kind of debunking and going through on my channel, is in that one he says that evolution is irrational, unscientific, unintelligent, and impossible.
Sounds like he.
Oh well, that settles it.
Sounds like an echo of Hovind.
Yeah, you can call it irrelevant, immaterial, and argumentative, Mr. Mason.
Yeah. Yeah, although in this one, he argues that variations can happen. So am I allowed to call a premature drink for changing his stance?
Wait,
no, because you just finished covering it.
Actually, in order to call drink something...
I'll be right back. I gotta wash my hands. My fucking hand smells like burnt strontium and it's making me want to vomit. I'll be right back.
We'll be here.
Oh, too much information, Andy.
Yeah, well...
Alrighty.
He burns vomit a lot to know.
Ooh. No. He burnt strontium, and he wants to retch. It's not that.
Okay.
It's not that he's actually retching, and it smells like burnt strontium. No, it's the other way around. He wants to hurl because burnt strontium.
And
I
actually,
can imagine why that would be. Because
last piece of housekeeping. Actually, we forgot this one. I hope everyone remembered to email our friends at the Flat Earth group over there. Remember 2 weeks ago?
Far away.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, they told us to do that, and I wouldn't want to let up the pressure and have them be all sad that we were ignoring.
We don't ever want to let our little flat earthy snowflakes go unnoticed.
No,
they told me to go away.
They'd feel all lonely and whatnot.
They told me to go away.
All right.
And not contact them again. They got mad at me.
Now, everybody...
Can't imagine why.
Everybody remembers procedure, I guess, when we're playing the fabulous cinematic experience. He who yells drink first, the rest of us clam up and not talk over that person so that they can get their point out. When they're done, here's a new one.
We have the sergeant at arms.
Absolutely, and how about just to keep things flowing? How about when he or she who has called drink is done, they actually say like that's it or I'm done, giving some indication that they are in fact done. Because some of us will pause.
Yeah,
some of us will pause.
I like that idea.
Yeah,
I will accept the position of captain of the guard. Thank you.
Because some of us have a habit of leaving large gaps between words in the same sentence, and I do that often. and that's
have that temp adjusted there, Sai. Get that thing revved up.
Yeah.
I think it would be. I think it. See, for Sai, usually it happens more as successive mugs of restraint. Because usually near the end of one of these streams, it's much worse than it was at the beginning.
Indeed. But all right. So when any of us who have called drink and actually have the floor, when we're done, we'll give some indication that we're done, so that others may jump in with their comments, because we'd like to maintain order. And that's probably a good way to do it. All right, so who is Sergeant at Arms tonight?
Andy,
Squirrel?
Andy is.
Andy is? Okay, I
Andy
thought...
is
I'm
always
here. I
Sergeant
just had
at
to wash my hands. The stench of burning strontium is disgusting. I had to wash it off.
It is actually quite disturbing. I will be the captain of the guard.
in case
But
anyone
some of us do chemistry for fun, okay? There's
in case
Okay.
anybody missed
nothing wrong with that.
in case anybody missed your Sunday science show, maybe you just want to mention quickly why you were burning strontium, what it was for, just to let folks know.
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea for anyone to miss Sunday science. So, been concocting an experiment, a multitude of experiments. I've been building a spectrometer in my basement for lab purposes, and one directly into a retired telescope Barlow lens, so that hopefully I have the light gathering capability with my 200 millimeter to actually do astrospectroscopy. We'll see. The other one is for your basic high school style science experiment spectroscopy. So I've been toying around with various chemicals and things of that nature for absorption line effects. And even though Tornado Pelt's not with us this evening, he's been a good influence on awesome fire stuff. The guy definitely is very interested in pyrotechnics. So just been toying around with that, and yeah, sitting outside, shot glass full of chemicals, lighting it on fire, and not making myself go boom, but making awesome colored fire. So strontium gives a very deep, rich red color, so it's a lot of fun to. It's a lot of fun, and
it's a lot of fun to annoy it too, because that's always fun.
Indeed, no neighbor complaints as to the science going on out of doors recently.
Not so far.
Okay,
I'm
good.
pretty sure the industrial blowtorch that I built to make a little bit larger of a flame than a shot glass, that'll probably get his attention.
Oh, good. Because I'm sure you're getting lonely without police, without emergency services coming to the house. I'm sure you're getting lonely. Oh, all right. Fino says
it's been a couple of months.
Fino says, "Let's get on with it." Okay, we're getting on with it. Here we go. This is biblical inspiration validated by science, as recommended by the captain. There. Okay. Here it goes.
Captain, let's go.
And I'm sorry. Here we go.
What in the world makes us so embarrassed about the gospel? For I determined to know nothing among you.
Greg,
already? Okay.
Answer for his question.
Okay.
I can answer that. I can answer that.
Okay.
And the answer is because it's wrong. It is inherently wrong.
Okay.
Did that break the record of the Drake call?
No. We had one at 0.
No.
We had one at absolutely.
We had one at 0, and I did that, and I did it. It was me.
Okay.
I admit it. It was me.
It's close. This is 10 seconds in. All right.
Let's try and keep on task, though. We do have a lot of videos to get through, so if we do call drink, let's try and get through this subject topic as quickly as we can so we can move on with the idiocy.
Got it. Here we go, Chief.
Except Jesus Christ and Him crucified.
Volume.
Too much or too little?
Too much.
There we go. How's this?
10%.
Much.
All right.
Ooh,
We are
part 2.
examining the great doctrine of biblical inspiration. We are looking at the reality that God wrote the Bible.
Drink.
And the question always comes:
Okay.
how do we know?
Squirrel.
They're looking at the reality that God wrote the Bible. Citation fucking needed.
Indeed.
Yeah, I was about ready to say, as far as we know, it was man who wrote it,
and men did write it. But this actually smacks of an actual circular argument that reads something like this: God wrote the Bible is the inerrant word of God. Person B, how do you know that? God said so. Citation needed. It's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, he likes that argument.
If he likes that argument, then I hope you've got a complete case and then some side, because there's going to you're going to be getting into Ken's territory. But
I don't know if he uses it a lot in here, but I know I have seen him use it a lot in the past.
if he's going to do that, if he's going to
was
do that in this video, I'm not finished. I'll let you in on a second. I hope your keg's full, Si, because it looks like we're probably going to be screwed.
I believe so.
You're going to be fucked up by the end of this if this is going to get all through.
Okay, there be a guy named John MacArthur.
Yes.
Bingo. He's in my bibliography. Let us proceed.
Proceed.
Why don't we let Seamus say what he was trying to say first? just.
Oh, Thino.
Okay, so I was quite enlivened by the beginning, because it said revelation verified by science.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you naysayers are going to go, it's a circular argument, the Bible, but I think he's going to come out with some real scientific data, which is going to that may be ambitious, but let's find out.
Yeah, indeed. Well, by the title,
all a divot with information.
all right.
He makes science claims. I'll say that much, but they are so wrong. It's funny.
All right. Well, here we go.
Yeah,
I'm taking notes.
Chill, Captain. We'll let the colonel and the expert work it.
Oh, before you advance, what was the date of the show? Was there a date of when the video was posted?
Captain, you know?
No, not off the top of my head.
All right, we'll dig that.
It's semi-recent. I mean, I think it was like 2010 was when it was posted. I could be wrong on that date.
It could be, because the stuff I got in was 2017, so he's an up-to-date idiot.
All right, good.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty relevant.
Can someone go hunt this video down on YouSmooch and see if we can actually find out when it was posted?
I can do that.
If it's that critical,
thank you
okay.
so much. I will enjoy that for my records.
All right. And on that note,
I just point out the pink hoodie in the front probably dates it to 2012.
Okay. All right. And on that note, moving on.
God wrote the Bible. There are a number of ways to answer that question. One way to answer it is to look at what the Bible says about the scientific world. To put it simply,
Drink.
Whoever.
Okay.
He paused too long. No, the Bible says nothing about the scientific world. Period.
That's true.
Carry on.
Moving on.
I was going to say it was posted in the video that you're using was posted in 2014, if that helps. So probably around
that puts a little thing down that gives a benchmark, because sometimes it can make a difference as to what year it is, as to just exactly how much he's bursting into flames.
Absolutely, we do. We do have to give him a pass if it was made before before information was disclosed. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I also think you guys are forgetting about striped sticks.
Yes. The striped sticks don't work. We already know that.
Well, I have not performed that experiment myself, so I can verify that it does not work. But all right,
you could contribute an enormous thing to science and agriculture.
Yes, but then what am I going to do with all the non-striped beasts walking around my backyard? All right, here we go.
Understands it. Whoever created everything understands his creation, from the microcosm of the minute world of atomic energy to the macrocosm of limitless space. Whoever created it all understands it because...
All right.
I think I might have been right before Andy.
Okay.
Nowhere does the Bible talk on atomics.
All I wanted to say was that this is why Catholics drink at church, is to deal with this. Yeah. Anywho, next. Who's next?
Captain.
I think Squirrel was.
Oh, okay.
No, you were next, Captain. Then it was me, but my bit's already been covered.
Yeah. Mine was basically nowhere in the Bible does it talk about atomic energy, atoms, or anything of that nature.
Quite correct.
Yeah, you'd think, some poor little Talmudic scholar back 1000 BC poring over the Torah would be able to figure out, positrons.
Oh, microbiota that will actually that cause plague.
Spiral galaxies. Oh, I see it all clearly now.
Yeah.
Wait, so that's where I learned about quantum chromodynamics was in the Bible.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's one of those rarely noted passages in Leviticus.
Well, you can always...
I hate to pour cold water on you guys and your science.
Yes.
But I think you've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark and the follow-up one, which was, you know, the tomb thingy, right? So I'm just saying Ark of the Covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your energy, Bob's your uncle.
Well, yeah, that's one of those documentaries, right?
Yeah.
Always. Hollywood is full of them.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hollywood is absolutely 100% perfect. No, it's not.
All right.
And it had the guy that played the Hobbit, a dwarf in it too, so it's got to be true.
Oh,
We're moving on.
Indeed. And we've already forgotten the "I'm done talking now" rule. That no one has said when they're done. I mean, we got the message because they stopped talking, but it might be good to say you're done. Okay, here we go.
He conceived it, and he made it, and he sustains it. And whoever is intelligent enough to create this universe with its astonishing and immeasurable complexity is certainly...
Okay.
Begging the question.
Okay. Indeed.
Or special bleeding, or any number of fucking fallacies right in that one sentence.
Let's finish this. Let's finish this thing here because I've already got a short list.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as someone who does design stuff for a living, because that's what I'm doing, nowhere in any right mind would having two galaxies on a collision course ever make sense in any design.
Moving on.
Or tooth enamel genes on two planets.
Where everything's just constantly moving away.
Yeah.
Children, walk
well,
over.
the Andromeda is in a direct collision course with the Milky Way. That's what I was referring to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll take a couple million years.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Gentlemen.
Indeed.
Is my microphone off?
No, we can hear you.
Good. One person speaks and then indicates that they are finished.
There we
then
go.
the next person speaks. Rule to be enforced effective immediately.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, and Fino is notifying us that Stripe Tie Dude is a little bit quiet. So yes, this is someone that went to the Journalism School of Audio Mixing. I have increased the volume a bit on Stripe Tie Man. Let me know if you can hear it. Okay, shall we move on?
Done.
Here we go.
Capable of writing a book explaining the way things really are in a simple enough...
Go ahead.
Citation. What did I tell you a minute ago, John? Citation fucking needed. You have to establish that the creature you're talking about actually exists as described, and then you can try and prove that he wrote the book before you can say anything else. You have skipped steps 1, 2, and 10.
Squirrel.
I think he might have done that in part 1.
No. Part 1 was just a bunch of quote mining.
It's all.
My hopes are dashed.
Yeah, this has all the.
All right. While it's over talking, let's one at a time.
Really. I'm not quite done here. I'll let you know when I'll let you know. And anyway. Oh God, it's not okay. One moment, please.
Okay.
1 moment.
Okay.
And that's why that's why talking over people doesn't work, because I lose trains of thought very quickly.
Gotcha.
And I had to change tracks like about 12 times right there. Now, you have missed steps 1, 2, and 10. You start from a position of presupposition, which means no matter what you do, premise 1 will either be A, false, B, unacceptable, or C, both. Okay, with premise 1 being required, and of course, usually, and in your case, at least thus far, leading to the conclusion, also known as begging the question and/or circular reasoning, you need to get the evidence in the middle, or you've got nothing. Next, please.
Okay.
Well, you realize that if he has to present evidence for his argument, that's going to be a really short video.
RJ, since when is that my problem? I don't have the burden of proof here. He does.
To be fair, I think this is going to be like a magician's trick, where he's basically spending most of the video setting up the table. And then at the end, he goes, and no, disappear.
Yeah, this is 3-card Monty without any of the balls or the cups.
Yeah, I was gonna say CMOS. It's not so much like that as his audience probably doesn't understand science. I'm not an expert in science, but even I recognize some of his claims as being total bullshit. And what it is basically, I think he's banking on his audience not knowing it and saying, "Oh, the Bible says this, which sounds very similar to this, and it sounds sciencey," and that is where he's banking on more or less fooling them.
Well, there's also the cultural
Cap,
dynamic of preachers.
What, Andy?
So basically what you're saying is that people of the religious order are hoping that the people they're speaking to are dumb enough to listen to them?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And give them money?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I think you got the nail right on the head with that one.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, if you want to know how this works, talk to Creflo Dollar or that guy or that guy with the male prostitutes and coke or heroin. What was his name? Oh yeah, Ted Haggard. Yeah. Talk to the guy that went to jail for 10 years for tax. Oh right, Kent Hovind.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Talk to those people. They all know what this is about. Hell, talk to that flat Earth tard that we're pretty sure doesn't believe a fucking word of what he's saying, but he's doing it anyway because it makes money.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. On that note,
yeah,
if I may, we're at 1:47. Shall we proceed? Or is there anything else?
I'm hoping for him to get to something sciencey.
Oh yeah, you know what I'm waiting
Knowing
for?
that we're at a minute. Knowing that we're at 1:47 and the show's been going on for 30 some odd minutes, I say maybe we try and refrain from calling drinks on some of the, well, realistically, they're kind of non sequitur points when it comes to talking about religious people. Let's wait for him to make a really boneheaded asinine move, not a general run-of-the-mill asinine move.
That works. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking forward to the post. I don't know if he's going to make any, because I have not seen this. I don't know if he's going to make any what I call post-dictions, because they claim they're predictions, but we shall see.
Master Arms. Yes. He has yet to speak a single word that wasn't absolutely idiotic.
Well, but it's standard religious boilerplate. Of course, he's a preacher in front of an audience of converts. He's going to be saying how wonderful and fabulous the Bible is, blah, 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 da, da, da. Of course he's going to do that. Let's move on to where he discusses something where he's bumping into the observable world so I can drop an anvil on him.
All right.
Exactly. Yeah. If we want to call drink on him, let's not call drink on him for the fact that he is a religious individual. Let's call drink on him for trying to utilize his religious ideology to concoct some pseudoscientific ideology and say it's true, as opposed to just my book said so.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay. Well, but just before we go, you go, drink one more time then, because I want to mention this before it goes out of rules, which is his tie doesn't match his suit.
Okay. Good call.
Okay.
Good call.
That's a good drink.
But does the carpet match the drapes?
Okay. On that note,
I don't want to think about that.
On that note, the panel must now be silent. We must move on before I think about that more than I have to.
All right.
I just wonder which direction is the balding going.
Here we go. we are proceeding.
Fashion, so as to leave his stamp on that book as the divine author. And the fact of the matter is, communication is not something difficult for the Creator. He is a communication genius beyond all comprehension. God is the source of all the information that exists.
Drink!
And he has...
Okay.
Holy shit, did he actually just say that?
Kinda.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
in fact.
He is,
Why are
like I
there-
said,
Okay,
get hope
to
and
kind of round up this this particular topic
Mhm.
all in one go.
Okay.
One, if he was that brilliant a communicator, there would not be 300 different varieties of Holy Book. There would be one. It would be written completely in plain text, would not require any kind of interpretation. Everybody would understand it, and everybody would believe it
Agreed. And
without
actually,
fail.
it might even include a little USB drive too. All right.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it would have given everybody an iPad with an app on it, so anyone could consult it anytime they wanted in the Bronze Age.
Indeed. All right.
Come on, moving on.
Moving on.
Appropriately spread it throughout his universe as he deemed necessary to accomplish his purpose.
Cherry picking.
Postmodernist philosopher Richard Rorty admits that the idea of
Assuming
truth
bollocks.
is coherent only in the context of a Christian worldview. He said this: the suggestion that truth is out there, objective and universal, is a legacy of an age in which the world was seen as the creation of a being who had a language of his own, a non-human language which he wrote into the cosmos. Now, he depreciates
he speaks
that
positron.
view, but that is precisely the biblical view, and that is precisely what Christians believe.
All right. He's just okay. Go ahead.
The way that asshole speaks.
That's it.
Indeed.
Okay.
Well, I have to say he's not nearly as head up his ass pompous as the late D. James Kennedy.
Okay, this is a digression on our part, not on his part. Moving on.
Moving on. Here we go.
Well, just before you do, then.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Well, just before you do, then, just on that point, I mean, he's probably not as good a communicator as the genius communicator that he pretends to worship, but he's equally as clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or clearer, possibly, which
Indeed.
is interesting.
There's not 10,000 interpretations of what this guy's saying. Here we go.
God is there, as Francis Schaeffer says, and he is not silent. He has spoken. He has spoken throughout his creation.
Okay.
Sometimes in the written word of God, and sometimes with a language of his own that is non-human.
Frank.
But the Creator.
Okay. Go right ahead.
So what you're telling me, Mr. Man, is that he's an alien. You are telling me that he is an alien. And he speaks in non-human terms about things that involve the humans directly, because of course he created us all special as the only life forms in such a vast universe. The chances of nothing else existing is infinitesimally small. So how about we try that again, Mr. John? Only this time, get your head out of your ass. Moving.
Well, somebody's in a mood.
Fino's
I've been under a lot of stress
comment.
this week. You may have heard.
What's Fino
I'm just
say?
waiting for my science information meter to climb above 0, which it hasn't so far on his video.
Yeah, he gets there, RJ. But Fino just said, "Must be the queen of the xenomorphs."
Indeed.
Xenomorph queen.
This might be the kind of stuff that we might want to let slide, because I think in the introduction to this video, which we're still in, this is just his "God is cool" speech. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just telling his audience God is cool.
Don't you love the woodwork of his set with all of the neat angles and lines? It's very impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
That's quite
Yes,
true.
It also provides very mathematically well-defined acoustics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Albert Speer couldn't have done any better.
Indeed.
Actually, probably could have, or he may have actually done that. I don't know. Moving on.
Yes, and
Yeah,
we will.
why don't we get through the intro speech
Yeah.
and
Then we'll talk.
We'll hit the
Otherwise,
anti-science
there are
stuff.
people that are going to be blackout drunk sitting in front of their computer, not even knowing that they're drooling on themselves before we get to anything that this guy's actually trying to say.
Yeah,
Us, you
I think
mean.
around the
Okay.
5-minute mark is when he starts making some sciencey claims.
All right, so let's let him get through his God is cool part, because that's
Actually, what is our current timestamp?
3:37.
We have a
All
minute.
right.
and a
Cool.
half.
I'm going to go to the
Nobody
store,
say
buy
any-
some smokes, drive around the block, and take a walk. I'll be back at 4 minutes.
Here we go.
All
We're-
right.
If you have
Let's-
some wallpaper you need to watch Cure or something like that, it'll fill the time.
It's too cold for grass growing.
All right.
So, all right, here we go.
Let's go with nobody says anything for another 1 minute and 23 seconds.
Well, if unless there's a science claim, let him do his God is cool stuff. All right, here we go.
Well, that would be the end of his got his cool stuff according to the captain.
Absolutely. Here we
If
go.
I remember the video correctly.
Yes. Well, we'll see.
Everybody has still 5 minutes.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, damn it! I'm not hushing. Shit. All right, here we go.
neither.
Speaks.
Damn.
And science is more and more, month by month, year by year, discovering what he has said. For example, the discovery of DNA,
Oh,
the
here it comes.
coded instruction that is in every cell of every living thing, means that at the heart of all life is language, a
Drink.
message.
Okay, he's hit the science. Off you go, Squirrel.
He has actually made 3 claims in rapid order, almost Gish Gallop style. Okay, number 1, not all extant life forms have DNA. Strictly speaking, there are various types of archaea that still survive primarily on RNA. Whether or not you decide viruses are actually alive, despite the fact that they don't actually metabolize, they just jump somebody else's shit and use that to reproduce. There's lots of things that still use RNA or don't even use very simple DNA. Don't use anything more than just very simple DNA. But
Well, it jolly well better have a ribosome.
Oh, there's lots of little things running around that they don't. Each and every single living thing is based on language. That's a lie. That is an outright lie.
Yeah. What
It
time
is
mark was that when he?
Correct.
Oh, I was going to ask, what was the time mark on the science claims? Was I close?
Yeah,
No,
actually, he
because-
started
because-
at 4 at a little after 4 minutes is when he started.
Oh, okay. I was
Close.
a minute off.
We'll do like capacitors. You got a 20% range. All right.
Okay, so before you go,
Okay.
Yes.
so yeah, obviously claiming that
next?
claiming that there's a language in the heart there is presupposing purpose, which is him presupposing a creator or at least an intelligence that has purpose, and therefore smuggling in the back door his claim of presuppositional God.
Shocking. He pulled something like
They're
that.
trying to slip God through customs without declaring him, as Hitchens used to say.
Exactly.
And that's what,
Unfortunately, we are the Border Patrol, and we don't take this shit.
Certainly not.
I would have immediately wanted to ask him on this front, if we're talking about DNA and information, I'd say, like, are all the ALUs in our genome deliberately designed? And watch his eyes glaze over.
Yeah, well, I don't think he would know anything about an arithmetic logic unit there.
Of course not. He'd have to know something about the science, and he's all got it secondarily. And I'm curious to see just exactly what secondaries he's relied on.
Yeah.
I can already
RJ,
tell you. I can already give you the first one, or first two actually. This first statement of his comes right out of the Behe Luskin playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Directly.
Oh, and you're either or Stephen Meyer, any one of the above. You know that this is all. But it even goes back to good old Philip Johnson and Dembski putting up the idea that the beginning was the word logos, and therefore all of design is just the logos of God manifesting in DNA and all that kind of stuff, which is really
that comes down to the same. That really comes down to the Josh Feuerstein argument. Universe means one verse, a single spoken verse. A single spoken word or sentence.
Is he still a thing, by the way? Is he still a
You
thing?
know,
Go
and
ahead.
everything started to exist. It's like, what?
Captain, you were trying to interject?
Yeah, I was gonna say RJ when he said, ask him about the whatever in the human DNA being designed. I was gonna say, yeah, he would. And as far as sources, he's been doing this crap since the 70s. Is the earliest I was able to find on him. So,
well, that is really interesting because he would have had no intelligent designers to channel back then. He would have had to been siphoning off a younger creationist.
Maybe not the intelligent design, but he's been doing like this kind of stuff, like saying we were creating creationism since the 70s.
Would be interesting to see how his arguments have here's the evil word,
Yeah,
evolved through the years. But
yes, indeed.
But
reference,
evolution is impossible according to this guy.
Indeed.
As a footnote for you, Cap, the ALUs I was referring to are a retrotransposon. They're a little teeny snippet of RNA that has a copy me signal. And at the moment, we have over 1 million copies of them in our DNA, our human DNA. 10% of us is ALU.
Okay, yeah, one of the ones I knew were the RVEs, I think they are, the retro, where it's like, that's where,
retrotransposon.
Yeah, with the chimps when they compare it, they're all in the exact same spot. I found that one interesting.
Yeah, ALUs are fun because they don't have a README code, so they don't normally do anything. They just copy. But every once in a while, they can mutate to have a README on there, and that usually is not good. So if you're going to argue that everything is designed, then you have to attribute all the bad, nasty things that happen from ALUs to design. And that's God's little language joke for us.
Little ticking time bomb is more like.
Indeed. So you're saying everything was not very good at the when all of this was decided.
Sometimes it's like effing crappy. Anyway, let's see what Mr. Ty has to say next.
Indeed. Well, actually, before that, I was Fino was at it again, amused the hell out of me with. Did I miss the "Let there be protein polymer chains" bit in Genesis 1? Yeah, I missed that too.
Yeah, it's all in that. If you use the magic crystal that Joseph Smith used on the Book of Mormon, then you can read in Deuteronomy all of this stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note,
I thought that was in Exodus.
Here we go again.
Yeah, run for the exit.
Here we go again.
Also, Tao has bowed out for the night. He is entirely too sleepy to stand on his chair, and therefore roof.
Well, good night to Tao then. All righty. Let us move on.
We'll watch this later.
Information. In other words, the organic world is really a book. It is a repository of complex biological information. And not only the organic...
Okay. Squirrel.
Wrong. In chemistry, an organic compound is organic chemistry is anything that involves carbon.
No, technically, a book does have carbon in it.
However, you can.
However, little squiggles of carbon.
Not all carbon chain molecules, not all organic chemicals are life-bearing or even life-capable. Some of them are incredibly toxic to actual life forms. So you can't go there, sir. Your claim is invalid on its face.
All right, so
I'm actually willing to cut him slack on that point because you have a complex biological systems, and at some point he's going to be arguing, maybe or maybe not, that specific biological systems are designed, at which point that's when you can spring a much tighter trap, because now he would be talking about something real other than just generic information and generic biology.
Well, you also have to realize that he will not define the word. Even if he does try and pull that stunt, he's not going to define his terms in a way that will be clear.
Of course not, because none of his people he's copied have ever done that.
I will later on coming up. He does make some pretty specific claims about DNA. So
now
this is going to be good.
It's going to be fun.
All right.
Okay, from the chat.
What do we got?
Apparently, Notheus has a lot of corn stored in his DNA.
Okay.
To which Mr. Convenient says, "Do you come with streaming?"
Oh.
All right. Carry on.
Here we go.
Organic world, information has become the key for interpreting the physical universe as well. Everything in creation operates on information that has been transmitted to it in a language from the Creator.
Drink.
Scientific.
Okay.
You guys are gonna kill me tonight.
Oh, you have no idea. This guy's actually starting to work his way up into some seriously hard shit. Now, Mr. Man, you cannot make it. Now, Mr. Ty, you cannot make any of those claims without a definition of information. Without that definition, you're just talking shit.
I know, but of course, you think he's going to be discoursing on Shannon information and all of that in front of an audience that is pushed out of shape if the hymnal isn't properly aligned for that Sunday.
You know what? I actually don't. His audience is irrelevant. Those are the as far as criticism of him. We're trying to get to the audience. We're trying to talk to the audience here and show them why this guy's a complete idiot.
Indeed, and henceforth,
well, the average audience member would be unaffected so much by far about anything we've said so far.
Well, and I was just going to suggest that henceforth, I really like Squirrel's suggestion that this individual be referred to as Mr. Ty. I like it.
I like Mr. Ty.
Actually, it was not my suggestion. It was actually RJ that called him that first.
Oh, okay, so, RJ.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
All right, very good.
It's a good one. I like it.
All right, let's see
because
what Mr.
It's the only thing I can really discern aside from the shady forehead.
Indeed.
And I don't want to call it Mr. Shady Forehead because that would imply that there might be something under it.
Plus, Ty is really short. You can say that even if you're 3 sheets into the wind.
Quite true.
To be perfectly honest with you, the man with the leash wrapped around his neck is more daft than the tie, and that tie is daft.
Although, ironically, if you look closely, you can see a halo there.
Right.
That's the light on the wax that he put on his head to make him look good.
Okay, fire away. Let Mr. Ty speak and tell us more science stuff. I am waiting so anxiously.
Fire away, Mr. Ty.
Here comes Mr. Ty.
American Journal said recently, ask anybody what the physical world is made of, and you are likely to be told matter and energy. Yet, if we have learned anything from engineering, biology, and physics...
Pause.
Yeah?
I need to go back. We need to go back a little more. We seem to have missed a word right before American Journal, and I need to know what that word is.
I think he said the Scientific American, which is not.
No, he made a reference to American Journal, and I don't know what the word before that was, because if he is in fact talking about Scientific American,
it's not a journal.
That's not a journal.
Yeah,
that is a popular science rag.
He doesn't understand that. He makes those claims all the time. He said time. He tried using Time one time, or National Geographic, claiming it was a scientific journal in one of his older videos from '99.
Yeah, because from his point of view, basement world has nouns, verbs, and direct objects, and does not have natural annotations. Is apparently a sciencey thing.
So it would seem.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he said Scientific American.
All right, why don't we consider that issue handled? So just so we don't have to hear him repeat himself. What do you think, Squirrel?
Right, go.
All right, now Squirrel's all depressed. All right, here we go.
Lieutenant Commander Squirrel is okay with that.
Okay.
Information is just as crucial an ingredient. Indeed, some physicists now regard the physical world as made of information, with energy and matter as incidentals.
Drink.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Ty, name your clods. I want to know which one said that. I want to know what their education system, what their education looks like, I want a nice bibliography, all the things that they've ever published in actual fucking journals. I want to know who you're talking about.
And
because you
I
just
I can guess for him. He's channeling the intelligent design literature, Dembski and others. They've been saying this, spewing on, and I'm sure he has read or heard something or seen a video somewhere or other and soaked it up like a starving limpet. And that's as far as he's going to go.
But unfortunately, unfortunately, while that is a Dembski, while that is certainly a Dembski-esque claim, the original version of that claim actually comes from Dwayne Gish.
Yeah, well, the Dembski generated a whole new iteration of it on its own. So although he may be channeling stuff, again, we're too far away from his data source to be able to identify it other. But the kinds of things he's saying, nobody in a Casey Luskin-friendly audience would even burp with a disturbance at anything this guy has been saying so far. It's all boilerplate.
Yeah.
Now the design is complicated and it's wonderful and there's information and it's all godly and so come on, I want to have an example. I want an example.
Okay, I don't know if he does it in this one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, RJ, I don't know if he does it in this one, but he has in previous videos that I've gone through and listened and sat through pulling my hair out. Used a tornado in a junkyard. Of the 747 is complex argument. I don't know if he does it in this one.
That would be
but he
what's
does
his name? Starts with a bloody P.
Right.
Yeah.
A moment, please, gentlemen.
Yeah,
a moment, please, gentlemen.
What do you got, Squirrel?
Right. This Convenient and Fino are had a short exchange here. This guy needs to get a job on the Muppets alongside Statler and Waldorf. Statler, Waldorf, and Mr. Ty. Fino's reply: "Are you sure he sounds more like a Gonzo to me? Personally, I think I would put Mr. Ty in the place of Gonzo's chickens, and then we can break out the cannon."
Indeed.
Yeah, if I can pump in a cap regarding the tornado in a junkyard thing, that's James Perloff, although the original analogy was Fred Hoyle. But it's been mainly popularized by Perloff, who is a young Earth creationist, and that metastasizes all through the anti-evolution stuff. It tends to show up more in young Earth creationist apologetics, so Chuck Missler and a lot of that branch are the ones that would be most likely to cite it.
Indeed.
Yeah, and RJ, he's a yak. He thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old and the Bible is infallible and the flood happened.
You know, there's a whole series about how to train your yak. I saw this thing. I saw it a couple of years ago. I've been looking around I've been trying to find it. I don't remember which channel it was on, but if anybody wants to go hunting for it, that guy's got some really hilarious shit.
I think it's called.
I checked my data set and confirmed that I did have John MacArthur listed as a young Earth creationist, so I got him pegged correctly.
Okay. Yeah, he is.
All right. Simos, you were trying to get a word in there?
No, it's okay.
Okay, all right. I was just in the public chat. Convenient beat me to it. I was going to make a reference.
Crypto.
I was going to make
from Sesame Street Mental Asylum. It's the Mr. Ty Show.
That's a good thing I wasn't speaking or anything. Anyway,
sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, in the public chat, Convenient beat me to it. There was a reference in that horrid movie, the latest Genesis movie that we reviewed. Tornado in a junkyard doesn't work. A tornado in a jungle, however, makes humans. So,
just farther down the road, Memes Are Cancer has a wonderful one. Remember, tornado in a junkyard is bad. Tornado in a dust pile that makes Adam is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought that was a burning bush. I thought that was a burning bush in a desert. Whatever.
Yeah, this guy, like I said, he's just funny. But let's get back to his arguments. He's pretty funny.
Okay, here we go.
And where does information come from?
Oh, I do have to interject before he gets off the information and on to whatever the hell he's up to next. He's technically right in using the word, and I know this argument we've heard for quite a while, but if you dig through the paragraphs by various scientists, you will find the word information. And that's all he reads. He catches the word and goes, look at that. Stephen Hawking, information. See, it's confirmed.
See,
That is
here's
so they
the
are
problem with
they
that.
are using the term information, but not in the way that Mr. Ty is using it.
Yeah.
Squirrel?
Yeah.
Yes?
Well, they've actually been shying away from using the word information anymore because of people like Mr. Ty.
Indeed.
And is he seriously asking for where does his information come from? Because there
He's
is
not asking.
He's
not actually asking the question. He's presupposing the answer.
Yeah, Simos, he thinks that basically because there's information, there has to be an information giver, a law giver, take your pick on which argument. I've heard him use both.
Oh, yeah. I was just jousting with a creationist just earlier in the day who takes that exact thing. Says, where does information come from? It has to have intelligence to make an intelligence thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
so has nobody told him that it's his father's balls?
Apparently not.
When we get to a nice little break point on Mr. Ty, we're going to do I'm going to do a little experiment with chat.
Okay.
All right.
Be ready for this one, chat, because it'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, and with him, actually, I won't ruin the argument. Let's keep going.
All right, here we go.
He has a good one coming up.
Moving on.
In all human experience, I'll say that again. In all human experience, information comes from an intelligent source.
Break, drink, stop.
Sorry, RJ.
Bing, 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 bing. Suddenly trips my wire.
Okay, RJ.
We do not have to guess that current genetic systems developed by natural branching mutation in which no designer is involved. We can observe it, we can test it, we can retro-engineer it. And I doubt seriously whether Mr. Ty has ever got within 5,000 miles of reading a science paper.
I would tend to agree.
And this is why I'm glad you're here tonight, RJ, because I knew you would have fun with this guy.
I
have more fun with this guy than RJ is right now.
I kind of suspected you both.
Now he's getting into the science stuff, so
right.
RJ might have a little more fun.
Looking forward to it. Here we go.
Is it generated by blind material forces, chance, or coincidence? In all human experience, information comes only by an intelligent agent.
Okay, a quick drink. Might not even be worth a drink. He's got to make a distinction between actual information, which comes from an intelligent agent, and that which is interpreted as information, as in how something is constructed or what exactly exists in the DNA. They're two different. Yes, they're both information, but they're two different kinds of information. The fact that we interpret something as information does not tack it to that there must be an intelligent designer. That's it.
Okay.
His time frame. Who thinks information would be coming in when God created the earth 6,000 years ago, and then maybe a couple things happened after that, like a flood or something, but he's not going to bother too much about that. And so all the stuff that we see today, the wonderful marvels of nature, are not that far removed from the original creation event. So for his time frame, the idea that he has to account for millions and 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 millions, and boy, we haven't run out of the number of millions of years of generations and mutations and stuff that would just blow his little mind apart. His frame doesn't have any of that in it. Stuff, and I would guess that 90% of his audience easily don't have a map of time in their heads either. So all of this, they can just nod their head and go, amen, and oh, that sounds ever so right.
Indeed.
Now, since it looks like he's actually hit the big point that he wants to make here, we're going to do that little experiment now. I'm going to type a word into the chat. Now, without adding or subtracting, now, chat, your job is to replace one letter from that word, whether it makes any damn sense or not. Do not add or subtract letters, just replace one. Okay?
Okay.
And would the end result be like a word that we can't say?
Okay. There's the word. The word has been added.
So they just got to swap a letter. Whether or not it makes a word, just swap a letter.
you swap a letter, it doesn't matter which letter you swap or what the end result would be. You may also switch around what other people have put up. Come on.
Now, of course, one variable here that I would say is that you need to have the added element of natural selection involved, which would therefore give guidance to things.
Look, we don't even need guidance at this point.
Let Squirrel have his fun.
All we're looking for right now is variation at all.
Okay.
Ooh, I like the vape squirm.
Well, vape squirm actually adds a letter, so it won't. So
yeah, I know. Well, you know, you got your gene duplications, you got your polyploidy. That's a polyploidal word.
Okay. Now,
tapiform.
we also got toppyworm with a U, and dapeworm. We got the first one up was rapeworm.
I'm a little worried about the rapeworm.
Can we move forward from this shit already? I'm sorry, but I'm about to leave the entire hangout.
We're just
stupid. No, this is fucking stupid. Okay. This video is stupid. There's a drink call every 2.5 seconds. This is getting really boring.
Okay.
All right. Let's Squirrel finish his fun.
We'll move on here. Okay. So we now have a bunch of words here. We now have a bunch of random information here. Okay. We have a whole set. Now, looking at this, we can say you look at it and you say, okay, does any of the words coming from my original make any real sense? Some of them do, some of them don't.
Okay.
Some of them add spaces. But how much information is still available in each one of those?
Well, obviously, it would
did one of these coming out to be nonsense change the actual amount of information? Change the amount of information in question?
I know the answer. No.
Answer no.
No.
Answer no.
Okay.
Okay, but with a whole bunch of people involved, you don't actually have a real an intelligent direction that these go. They go and they do exactly what evolution does. It just goes splits up. It splits up. It tries a bunch of stuff, and then it figures out a few that might actually make sense, and then it does it again. Little cycles like that, and the amount of information really hasn't changed.
Indeed.
It's still information.
Revealing gibberish can have just as much information in it if you measure it from certain directions as stuff that supposedly means things. What our Mr. Ty is doing is channeling an argument that's trying to slip in the notion that information is meaningful stuff that does something, that it leads to something else that's important. And yet he doesn't know enough about the material to deal with that. And then if you try to jump to the people who are doing the claims about information, the Bill Dembski's at the top of the food chain being the obvious one, he's never applied it to genetics. If you gave him a string of DNA, a complete genome-length string of DNA where there are selective mutations in it that you can guarantee that organism would drop dead, that he would never be able to tell you if that was a viable organism just on the basis of any of his formulas. If you gave him 2 DNA strings, both of which are completely functional genetics, but could he tell which one was the original designed one and which one is a natural mutation? Again, he would have no way of doing that. So whatever air quotes information he's playing with, it's irrelevant to biology.
Exactly correct. That was exactly where I was going with that. Because frankly, languages do this too.
Code breakers know this all the time.
Okay.
That you could have something which may or may not be a code, and they're supposed to take something that isn't a code and come up with a message out of it because they're looking for something.
All right. Now back to Andy's suggestion.
Mr. Todd.
Let's get the hell moving, shall we?
We'll look back on the tapeworm experiment at the end of the stream to kind of see if it actually got anywhere after that.
All righty. And here we go.
We still have people playing with it.
That's fine.
Only now we've got quite a bit of gene duplication.
Moving on.
The pellet with the poison is in the flagon with the dragon. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh dear. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
And here we go.
An intelligent agent who can assemble that information, and communicate effectively that information to another intelligent agent or to another receptor of that information that then can function on the basis of that information.
Babble. Just
Yeah.
babble.
If you look at the microcosm of the world, it is loaded with information.
Jeez.
Think of the genetic code. Scientists have now discovered that the genetic code is digital. It's not analogous to a digital code. It is digital.
Okay. Let's make it quick. Here we go.
Okay.
Yep.
First off, genetic information is based on 4 base pairs on ATCG. Okay, that is not a binary system, you retarded fuck. Binary is
Worse.
0 and 1.
Worse, a huge amount of what goes on in DNA is indeed analog. How it connects with something else in the way that it folds, that topology, that's an analog system that is not digital. So ironically, Mr. Tai is way behind the current science work that he doesn't pay attention to in the people that he copies from who didn't pay attention to it either.
Mr. Tai.
I still,
All right, more Mr. Tai.
Agreed.
My point has been made. It has been supported by the expert. Moving on.
Indeed. And
More time.
The only thing I would add is the clue to the binary things in the name. Okay, here we go.
It is exactly as a digitized computer code.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like it. It is, in reality,
Let it go.
A digital
Let it
code
go.
of information.
Let it go.
More than 100 years ago, when Darwin came up with his theory, his idea was that a cell was extremely simple, just a bubble of protoplasm, a bubble of jelly. Over the past few decades, however, new technology like electron microscopes have produced a revolution in molecular biology. We now know that the cell is not just simple jelly, simple protoplasm. It is a high-tech molecular machine, far more complex than any machine ever built by a human being. And I'm talking about every single cell.
Okay. RJ.
Yeah, here is where he's channeling another one of the largely intelligent design tropes. This particular idea, Behe was the one that popularized it enormously, that the old style, nasty old Darwinians, your Ernst Haeckels and all of that, just thought of the cell as a big blobby nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that now we discover it's fabulously complicated, except the people doing all the work are the evolutionists. They are the ones working out all the mechanisms of it. The anti-evolutionists aren't on this field.
RJ, this is exactly where he references Behe.
Uh-oh.
And
Mm-hmm.
the Darwin
What
Black
else
Box
would he
book.
do?
Okay.
This is the big sock puppet on that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one more thing. First off, he's talking about just the last he was talking about just the last 3 or 4 decades, from 14 back to presumably back to the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
the 70s or 80s somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The first person to see organelles, the very first person to see organelles was Robert Hooke back in the 17th century.
Yeah, that's why we know about them all. And Golgi apparatus and all this other stuff.
In the most primitive microscope that ever existed, he took a very thin layer of cork and examined it. He found cell walls, nuclei, bits and pieces of other shit.
Yeah, ironically, the big issue for old style Darwinism up until the 1930s and even beyond was the fact that they didn't understand the mechanism of inheritance because they hadn't discovered the damn DNA stuff yet or knew how it connected up. Once they did that, I measured in my evolution hours, I pointed out the idea that if you want to have a dividing line for old and new biology, it's the middle 1990s. Because that's when they discovered homeobox genes, at which point everything changed.
Actually, I would argue that I would actually argue that Francis Crick was actually the point at which modern biology became what it is. They were actually able to sequence a complete DNA strand.
Oh yeah, that as well. But what the revolution that Homeobox did was, prior to that time, virtually everybody in the biological sciences was thinking that organisms that looked really, really different, like bugs and us, would have very different genetic systems involved. And when they discovered that the same genetic systems that go way back before bugs and people are producing up and down, dorsal, ventral, front and back, and all of this patterning stuff, and that the same genetic toolkit has been modified to produce bug and person, that was a big, amazing shock on people. And most of what we now think of as Evo Devo and the stuff that's happened in just the last 20 years is just run off like a house of fire. And until they had discovered all of those things through the genetic sequencing, because they had figured out about DNA, that was an astonishing adjustment.
Also note that when you play around with Hox genes, you can do all sorts of fun things. You could put eyes where your legs are supposed to be.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, well, and something so simple as the fact that the reason why tetrapods, including us, have the number of fingers that we do, and the first ones had like 6, 7, and 8, and they eventually found out, oh, that's not a good idea, but we stuck out now with the 5, is the number of alanine repeats, an amino acid repeat in the HOX13 gene. It's that specific.
There were, I remember seeing something fairly recently about early tetrapoda having like having 8 bony fingers, and then 3 of them just kind of
they all started 6, 7, 8, Eustonopteron, and all the rest, and then finally things settled down, because once the tetrapods left the water, which they found out, of course, now from the fossils, that 4-limbed critters with feet were developing in an aquatic environment that occasionally gulped up on the air. They weren't terrestrial, and only later became terrestrial. That 6, 7, 8 fingers is really kind of getting in the way.
Hey, Size Strike.
So
hold up. Andy's got something urgent. Andy, what do you got?
Okay. Jump in.
How far into this are we?
Okay, you're going to depress me now. Thank you for making me look at that. We're at 725 out of 55.
Okay.
All right.
I will add one more thing before I shut up for a little while.
This is fucking ridiculous. This isn't going to go anywhere. We're never going to watch another video.
We'll see.
For the love of God, guys, can we at least try and get through like half of a video in any amount of time reasonable? Obviously, this guy's going to say a bunch of stupid shit. He's a religious nutball. We all know that. Can we get forward?
Well,
can we go somewhere, or are we going to sit in the same pool of slime that he's sitting in?
Well, there have been points.
Dude, it's boring.
There have been points that merited a call for drink. If we should, we'll skip past.
There have been some calls that are absolutely warranted, but for the love of God, we've 7 minutes in an hour and 20.
Andy, I know you're not new. I know you're not new to this show. All right. On that note,
but I will remind that we've had
these are religious nutballs. They say the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over, and it's not going to change. We can get through it, and we can move on to the next video, and maybe they're going to say something different, or we can keep looking at this guy in his pew and his red carpet and his bony, creepy old face, and are his balls as shiny as his fucking noodle.
All right, we've
head.
What have we established so far? We've established that Andy is in a mood. All right, we'll try to move. We'll try to move a little more quickly.
Let's get Mr. Ty going.
I have one more thing to say, just as kind of a side note.
Okay.
And that having 6 fingers is actually a dominant trait in humans.
That's interesting.
Moving on.
All righty, here we go.
I will provide you with
scientists tell
what?
I will provide you with a link to that in the near future.
You're cool.
Remind me later. I will do that.
Will do. Here we go.
Tell us now that every cell is like a miniature factory town. Every single cell hums with power plants, automated factories, and recycling centers. In the nucleus is a cellular library of every cell, housing blueprints and plans that are copied and transported to the factories in the cell, each of which is filled with molecular machines that function like computerized motors. These manufacture the immense array of products needed within the cell, with the processes all regulated by enzymes that function as stopwatches to ensure that everything is perfectly timed. And all things are assembled, gathered, transported, and delivered in exactly the required moment. It was Francis Crick of DNA fame who said the cell is thus a minute factory bristling with rapid organized chemical activity. Even
Frank.
the outside.
Okay.
Francis Crick did in fact say that. You have taken it completely out of context. However, your analogy comes out completely flat. I mean, I could flatten your factory town inside of 3 minutes. I'm not going to now, but let my objection be noted.
Duly noted. Here we go.
Here is the problem. I'll put in that what he's inadvertently bumping into, and he can do it because Michael Behe never thinks about it, is that's all of those complicated little cell things are just as true of microorganisms. Absolutely, because we've inherited our mechanisms from them. That's why they go back billions of years. And therefore, what you would have to say is, yes, some of the factories that are beautifully designed by God are designed to kill people, to invade you, to give you horrifying diseases. Oh, isn't that wonderful? The beautiful factory that causes people to fall apart. Isn't that swell?
And it's all very good. Okay.
Yeah, and Behe never, ever, ever thinks about that in any of his writing. And therefore, this guy parasitizing Behe from afar, so he takes all of that stuff down without realizing the giant that they're wading into hip deep.
All righty.
I was going to say, RJ, you're giving these guys a lot of credit, even thinking that they even realize what they're doing.
Oh no, they don't. Absolutely not. They have no clue. And Behe as well. It's what I call the Glee Club notion. Gee whiz approach to nature. Isn't wonderful how complicated it is, and that is something they inherited from the old style creationists, because their arguments basically boil down to: ain't the wonders of nature fabulous? It has to be designed.
More Mr. Ty now, please.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yes.
Of the cell, the surface, the membrane is studded with sensors, gates, pumps, and identification markers to regulate traffic coming in and out of that cell. Today, biologists cannot even describe the cell without using the language of machines and engineering. It is Michael Behe who wrote the blockbuster Darwin's Black Box, in which he posited the obvious truth of intelligent design behind creation rather than random chance. And Behe describes a cell like this. Each cell has an automated rapid transit system in which certain molecules function as tiny monorail trains running along tracks to whisk cargo around from one part of the cell to the other. Other molecules act as loading machines, filling up the train cars and attaching address labels. When the train reaches the right address in another part of the cell, it is met by other molecules that act as docking machines, opening them up and removing the supplies. To frame a mental image of the cell, picture it as a large and complex model train layout with tracks crisscrossing everywhere, its switches and signals perfectly timed so that no trains collide and the cargo reaches its destination precisely when needed.
Unless it does.
And Behe goes on to say, and here's his main point: this is a level of complexity that Darwin never dreamed of, and his theory utterly fails to account for. Why? Because a system of...
I called Drake about a minute ago.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Go right ahead.
Yeah, no, dude, this is not a Sega Saturn. It isn't. And because, okay, not a Sega Saturn. Just to get that things operating, you have the tolerances in terms of time are so so split second that you don't even any delay of any kind is going to your entire game. You, sir, haven't gotten anywhere near there, and you are cancer, sir. You are cancer, and cancer is the direct evidence that you are completely full of shit.
Well said. And see, I object to his use of the machines to demonstrate. He wants everyone to think machines. Oh, somebody's got to build a machine. He's technically right if you think of a machine as something that uses a resource, changes it, and produces some kind of output. That's how he should be thinking of machine, and he wouldn't make those stupid statements like he just made. But anyway, all right.
Yeah. Another point that I want to throw in here is the idea that he's not thinking through what the pieces are and whether Behe knew what the hell he was talking about. Because in none of the examples where he was throwing up his irreducibly complex systems in that groundbreaking book, Darwin's Black Box, in none of those areas were those his areas of research. He's not a flagellum researcher. He's not an immune system researcher. He's not a blood clotting researcher. So he kind of skims over the top of all of that and then kind of cherry picks little fiddly bit parts. And if you read closely with the background notes, you really discover that there's a whole bunch of stuff that we haven't actually worked out yet about how those cute little systems function, and tons of them, as we now know in the decades since, none of which has been worked on by any of the gang that Behe and stuff would know. We can find out more and more about how they evolved, how different systems turn into another. Now, the major histocompatibility molecules have zillions of different examples, and Behe seems to think there was like one. And we can trace their lineages in families. Oh, it's just pathetically messy. And this poor schlump, Mr. Ty, is looking at the stuff he made. I doubt he's even read Behe's book. I think he probably glommed onto stuff that he found at the various postings, and he nodded sagely, or somebody prepared it for him, and they're way removed. They're not going to go through Behe's book and look at the source citations. Yikes.
Wasn't Behe the guy in the, just sorry for clarifying, sure I have the right guy, wasn't he the one in the Dover trials who said that under his definition of intelligent design, astrology would be considered intelligent design?
Oh yeah, that was an amusing little fiddly bit.
Oh yeah. I just want to make sure I had the right guy in mind.
Oh, RJ, RJ, there's a question specifically for you.
Signing, yes, I was just saying you'd have to mail me the copy, and then I'd have to mail it to you, but I'd be happy to autograph sign.
Absolutely. That would be, and that is a cool thing to have. All right.
Yeah, you haven't sent me yours yet.
No, that's because I can't let it out of my hands. It's a valuable, it is a valuable
good,
reference. It is a valuable reference document. Anyway, I
pull apart a big chunk of Behe that in Slam Dunk. I have a whole chapter devoted to his chloroquine argument that he puts out in his second book, which Mr. Ty may never have read. And if you want to look at how I pull apart his older one from the Dover trial, the Impipenum case, that's a tip 1.7. You can see that free on my website.
All righty. And yeah, just in case I've been somewhat faint-hearted in my endorsement of that particular tome, I strongly endorse RJ's book.
It's the perfect Christmas gift.
Absolutely.
Anybody who loves science will find it useful, and anybody who hates science, if you give it to them and say, read this, they'll never talk to you again.
It solves a couple of problems.
I have a friend who I might want to give that book to, although he probably won't talk to me again because he's the one who challenged me to listen to this guy to make me a young Earth creationist. So,
Behe, gosh, I love pulling Behe apart on the chloroquine case, because I looked up all the primary source information he was drawing off, and he couldn't even read that correctly. And it turns out that not only had they worked out a path for chloroquine, they had a whole slew of them, and they experimentally verified them, and they were predicting how things were developing. I mean, it was just awful how far removed from the facts he was in that.
Oh, there's a question. RJ, how are you going to handle signing Kindle versions?
Oh, your Kindle really sign it as I have the e-reader version. Oh, I wish I could do that, but yeah. It's, I wish there was some way that I could sign the ebooks. It's available for the little Nook reader too, if anybody's got one of those. All the links are at my website. You can find that for all the ebook versions, but I like the physical book myself.
For reading, I do as well.
I might have to get a copy for later on when I go through this guy even more.
You'll like it.
Yeah, I always love listening to you because you always make me feel stupid, but like I said, I always feel smart at the end of it.
Yeah, Behe tried to argue that the reptile-mammal transition, and he explicitly used that as his example, possibly occurred because it would require oodles and oodles of double mutations that were physically impossible, as he proved with the chloroquine antibiotic resistance case. Since he hadn't proved that, investigated it.
Why is that falsehoods? Lies and falsehoods.
All right, real quick, I just got to jump in real quick. Sorry
Sure.
about my little outburst there. I've been working 12-hour days for the last month and studying for an exam that might hopefully place me in a job where I get to live in the land of the midnight sun for 4 to 6 months out of the year. So I'm a little on edge, a little stressed, and I apologize for.
Well, and the strontium poisoning.
Just apologize for it.
Andy, don't worry about it. We've known you for a long time. I'm sure.
I know.
I'm sure nobody took
wild
offense.
amounts of stress right now. It's
and the only
You are
thing is,
forgiven. You are forgiven, Mr. Andy.
and no need to even add.
We
No
do
need
not.
to even add.
We won't hold it against you.
But
I'll
there-
just jump in there. That
Yes, we were
Fino
jumping in
says,
with
"Can't they send you the money? Can he send me money for the copy via the GoFundMe thing and the address and stuff, and then I can do it that way?" Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
Oh, so you do have possession of actual books that can go then?
Oh no, but I would if I have enough scratch coming in to where I got stuff in the bank account because of the GoFundMe. Then yeah, I could order the book off myself, sign it out, and then mail it off to him.
That's a great idea.
I can do that.
All righty, and very good. Okay, and Andy, if you do get to work in the land of the midnight sun, we're going to expect you to sing that song. By the way. All right.
I will do my best.
All right. Okay. Moving
Let's
on.
have Mr. Ty talk some more.
Absolutely, and hopefully he will not offend Andy further. What are the odds? Here we go.
Coordinated interlocking parts like this can only operate after all the pieces are in place, which means they must all appear simultaneously, not by any gradual piece.
Okay, I'll just say drink bullshit. There, moving on.
Piece by piece process. Therefore, Behe coined the term irreducible complexity to refer to the minimum level of complexity that must be present before such a highly integrated system can function at all.
Drink.
Okay. Squirrel.
I have two examples, and I will just give those because reasons. Mousetrap, less the trigger unit, and 3 or 4 proteins missing from a bacterial flagellum to create the type 3 secretory system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, now here's that you hit upon exactly the nub there, Crocker Squirrel, because this guy is doing his little shtick, presumably in 2014, long after Behe's book came out in 1996, and long after several decades of people have been criticizing it, and long after people have been pointing out where the mistakes were. And therefore, we can imagine that Mr. Ty never bothered to look.
Yeah. And he goes, and I know I've read this argument before. I just don't remember the exact argument against it, but he goes into the whole bacterial, we'll get to it, but he gets to the whole bacterial flagellum motor thing.
Okay.
Anybody who wants to find it right off the bat, Nick had co-authored an article on the flagellum that appeared, I think, in Nature Neuroscience, Nature Biology, or one of those. I can't quite find it right off the bat, but anyway, it's in my bibliography. I think that was about like 2006, so that's like 10 years after that book came out and years after this video had been done. So the information was out there if you felt like looking, but he's not going to look.
Odds are.
No, he won't.
Okay, first off, the argument that the person I was citing there was Ken Miller from Kitzmiller versus Dover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a mousetrap,
although Miller himself,
a mousetrap without the trigger mechanism makes a really brilliant tie clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of things where here's another part that a lot of flunkies. He isn't doing it here, but there are an awful lot of ones who use irreducible complexity in things that Behe never claimed were irreducibly complex. And so they kind of bandy the term around a little thing. The other interesting issue is that Behe theoretically said, okay, if anybody can figure out how any one of my irreducibly complex candidates are not irreducibly complex, that's it for irreducible complexity. But he has not exactly admitted that.
Except, of course, that Ken Miller provided went over the bacterial flagellum in some great detail, and the base and other baselines for it. Dolphins do not actually have two clotting factors that we do, and provided several other bits of evidence along the same lines. The evolution of the eye, for example, is one. The eye is something that Behe seems to think was irreducibly complex, but Darwin had a complete description of it.
Yeah,
he hasn't claimed that.
He did not claim that. Somebody did. Who the hell was that? Who the hell was that?
I was going to say in earlier videos from his '99 series that someone sent me, he does do the whole eye is so complex and Darwin doubted it because of it.
Behe did that?
No, Mr. Ty here.
Mr. I.
In another video from
that
99.
is that's an old standard, because that's would be one where he's most likely drawing upon creationist lore. The eye has always been their little baby.
Yeah,
and actually there's way more obsession about that in young earth creationist apologetics than there is in intelligent design.
The sad part of it is that Darwin described the evolution of the eye in his original book.
I know. Yeah, this is why I say he's very dishonest, is when he does quote Darwin, he stops at a semicolon. He doesn't have the integrity to read the full sentence because he knows the last half of that sentence is, screws him over.
Oh my.
Well, I'll give him credit. I think it's highly unlikely he's ever read the original quote. He would have glommed onto it from a quote line.
Yeah, he probably did. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm like, yeah, this guy's dishonest.
Remember, 95% of all anti-evolutionists are parasites. They only copy other people. They don't look up original material themselves. They're just secondary redactors. And it doesn't strike me that Mr. Ty is not one of those. I've got too many damn Nick Matskys in my bibliography here. I'm having trouble to find. There we go. Nature Reviews Microbiology. I'll put the title up so everybody can take a look at it. I think it's open access now. That's from 2006, and they were actually much more detailed because this was a technical article published in a technical journal. It's actually more sophisticated than the stuff that Ken Miller has put up on his website.
I think I'm beginning to see why you don't do Stump the RJ on RJ's Evolution Hour on Wednesdays anymore. Nobody was ever able to do it, were they? It just doesn't happen.
Forward to that. I want to be stumped, damn it.
It's a difficult task.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I love you, RJ. I love listening to you and all your arguments. I've learned so much from you.
And you want to know the other cool thing about RJ, Captain?
What?
Just say the word magnetism. Go ahead.
All right, I'll play magnetism.
There we go.
I remember that.
I do my own sound effect.
Yeah. Hey, no arguments here, RJ. I have. In my next video I'm doing, I just got so tired of listening to the stupidity going on and on. I actually start doing different voices in arguments against him. I got bored. I need to get it edited and fixed in a few parts, but beyond that, it's all. I just got tired of his idiocy. I'm like, I'm gonna go nuts. Might as well have some fun.
And we have to remember that the kind of audience that you find in that not terribly large, he's not doing this in a mega church. It's a relatively modest kind of a thing. And not even not all the seats are full even. But I can guarantee you that if MacArthur suddenly said that elephants are cucumbers and that we should all speak Swedish, nobody in the audience would ever go, what? They would all be just nodding their heads and following things along, because that's what happens in that kind of cultural context. It is not a thing where people go, whoa. When a preacher I was listening to years ago, he's still active down in San Diego. I forgot the guy's name. But anyway, he happened to say that he was talking about Mount St. Helens in Oregon. And nobody in the audience apparently went, whoop, it's in Washington.
I was like, wasn't that? I didn't think it was in Oregon. I thought it was. I mean, I was way off anyway. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was like North Dakota, but I was way. Yeah, well, I did do well in geology.
I could understand how they'd done that because all of the news coverage was from Portland because that was the nearest big city, and also it was not in the direction the wind was blowing, so it was very prudent to people not to be trying to cover it from Wenatchee or Spokane.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get back.
Anyway,
to
let's
it.
Mr. Ty go on here.
Here's
let's
Mr.
get back
Ty.
to
RJ.
I want science.
RJ, I'm going to drink. I'm calling drink on RJ.
Mhm.
How's
Okay.
that?
Closest major city was actually Tacoma, and it was covered. It was covered very thoroughly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
Tacoma, that's just where they put the SeaTac airport, don't you know? And
No,
people-
SeaTac Airport's north of the
and-
city called SeaTac. And
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 Galilee's
on the other side of that is
last
called
long.
Seattle.
On that note, here's Mr.
Visited
Ty.
that yet.
yeah, back to Mr. Ty.
Piece by piece,
Mr. Ty?
it must appear simultaneously in the very same moment.
Asked and answered.
Irreducibly complex systems don't have any function without this minimum number of parts in place, which means they can't occur by natural selection. As another illustration of this, consider the tiny string-like flagellum attached like a tail
go.
to
Here it
some
is. Here
bacteria.
it is, RJ.
We've seen in a microscope
Wait
of
for it.
bacteria with a little tail.
Here it comes.
As the bacterium swims around in its environment, the flagellum whips around like a propeller. And from a diagram, if you were to see it, you would consider it to be a kind of motorized machine, like you would have in an outboard motor. It is a microscopic rotary motor that comes equipped, scientists tell us, with a hook joint, a drive shaft, O-rings, a stator, and a bidirectional acid power motor that can hum along at up to, are you ready for this, 100,000 revolutions per minute.
And it's got a 100,000
Structures
mile
like these
warranty.
require
Order
dozens of
one
precisely
today.
tailored, intricately interacting parts, which could not emerge by any gradual process. Instead, the coordinated parts must somehow appear on the scene all at the same time.
We're just waiting for the end of his bullshit, right? You guys aren't letting this
Yeah.
slip by, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay, all right,
just
all right.
waiting for the
All
end
right.
of it.
Let's let him go.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just
Combined
making
and
sure.
perfectly coordinated in the right patterns for the molecular machine to function at all. And all of this is dependent upon information.
Okay, now I'll come in. Drink.
Okay, RJ, you're up.
Oh boy, as he slipped onto a thing. First of all, there's that theodicy problem again, because excuse me, most of the little tiny cute little critters that's got the cute little flagellum cause diseases. So we would have to argue that the designer is a sadist who likes to see little things eating other little things. But the other problem was he's also not in 1996 anymore. It's 2014. And oh boy, has there been a lot of research on this subject. The motor proteins, that they figured out what the homologies were with the precursor systems, the new stuff on the various stator components and how they evolve from precursor elements. There's an awful lot of crap out there that this guy doesn't know about. Why? Because he thought a book that was written back when fax machines were popular and wasn't scientific to begin with could tell him the truth.
Yeah, I like what my one of my friends, she's actually joining us tonight, said in the chat. She has drink mega idiocy inbound.
And I do appreciate everyone's restraint in letting him finish his entire
It's-
paragraph of foolishness before jumping in.
Yeah. I'm gonna need another beer here in a bit.
I'm not
I don't
surprised.
usually drink. I have never really drank much before until tonight, and I've almost made it through another bottle.
Look at this. We've corrupted someone else now.
Captain.
Corrupting.
Captain. Hey, Captain.
Yeah.
I'm doing this without booze.
That is sad.
No,
Too.
God.
I just drink iced tea. I can't afford
did that
alcohol.
last week. Yeah, I did that last week. I was like, I need something stronger than some pop.
Indeed. And I'm on the East Coast, so what the hell is pop?
Soda.
Oh, soda.
Soda for
See,
you East Coasters.
I bet you have a clicker for your remote control too.
Yeah, or as I have to remember the East Coast people, because as my mom always said, so she's from Maryland, a pop is what you do to someone's nose, a soda is what you drink.
there we
Yeah,
go.
That's how she defined it.
the things. And the clicker thing, I think it probably came about because of the fact the early remote controls were literally click, 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 because I'd seen some of those, and those were popping up in people on the East Coast long before they hit out here.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I do occasionally hear the term clicker, but not very often. And I do vaguely remember the devices. You can even buy a thing at Radio Shack to convert your
And how many
TV.
of us, to our dying days, are going to say, "Did you tape that show when we met DVR?"
Yeah,
hey, I still use that. I'm 27. I remember videotapes.
What's disturbing
what the hell's a VCR?
Is high school kids are saying, "Did you tape that?" Because they've heard the term, and they have no idea what taping is.
They don't know what they're saying.
What, like adhesive tape? Masking tape?
I showed my nieces one of my old VHSs because I was going to put on a movie for them. That was an old VHS. That's why I didn't have a DVD of it. I just had the VHS. And they're like, "What is that thing?"
Wow, it's so big.
I was like, "Oh, man."
It's a non-digital linear audio format. Audio video format. And uses magnets.
All right, well, let's get back to Mr. Ty.
Yeah, let's hear what Mr. Ty has. Now, see how much more Behe he can copy.
Indeed, here's Mr. Ty.
Operational manuals in every part of the organic world. This has to come from intelligence. It has to come from the Creator who is communicating this information to his creation. If you go from the micro world to the macro world, it's the same thing. In fact, I am fascinated and always have been by the macro world, stars.
Oh, I bet you are, Buster.
And science is continuing to discover the complexity of our cosmology. This universe, as we know it, is intricately balanced as if on an edge of a knife.
Anthropic.
Take, for example, just the force of gravity. If it were only slightly weaker, all stars would be red dwarfs, too cold to support life in the universe. If it were only slightly stronger, all stars would be blue giants burning too briefly for life to develop.
Okay, Drake, is it?
Drake.
Okay, I think I was second.
Oh boy,
RJ.
This is beautiful. This is the English versus metric collision of all times, because here is a young Earth creationist invoking anthropic physics arguments that require the universe be billions of years old.
Yeah, I know it raises the points of like, how do they make half the claims when it's clear that they are not? He thinks the speed of light has been getting slower because we've gotten more accurate in our measuring of it. Thinking that
I'll tell you why he can do that, because the anthropic arguments, all these intelligent design arguments, they're not being done by young Earth creationists, but they never, ever, 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 ever mention the chronological context. They never, ever, ever, ever criticize young Earth creationism. They don't mention young Earth creationism. They don't interact with it. So he can come along like a little smorgasbord parasite and pick up the little gravitational constants and pick up the fine tunings of this and that, not realizing that he's taking it off a table that is not the table he's on.
Yeah. I mean, I point that out in my video when he quotes Behe, and the one that I'm trying to get edited just right because it's a little wonky in places. I might need to reshoot it. But he uses Behe. I'm like, whoa, time out. He just ruins your whole argument. You say the universe is 6,000 years old, but yet he doesn't buy into that crap. I mean, he still buys into a lot of BS, but he don't buy into that particular BS. So
at least somebody like Hank Hanegraaff, the Bible Answer Man guy, decides to be openly schizoid, because he is a young Earth creationist, but he really loves the attraction of these anthropic arguments. So he's an old universe creationist at the same time. He never quite connects those two dots very well. To watch.
See, I was going for a much simpler drink call than that. Much simpler than the. I appreciate the detail.
Right.
I do appreciate the detail you guys went into. That was great.
You're not going to get that with me.
But no, certainly not. Well, see, what I was just going to simply say that he produced one of my favorite arguments, which is the old if things were different, things would be different argument. I love that
Different.
one.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree. If things were different, things would be different. It kind of follows.
I call it the stereo set analogy. The idea that you've got this dawn of the universe stereo set that you can tweak the little dials on. Oh, I'll make gravity a little bit less. I'll make gravity a little bit more. We can go up to 11 on the dial. Is that possible? Sorts of weird calculations to figure out what would happen if
RJ, you might want to hold on to that thought. You might want to hold on because I am pretty sure he does the whole knob and dial argument.
Oh no!
Goody! Let's see if he can tilt it up to 11.
All right.
Okay.
I think he actually makes an argument.
Okay, Seamus,
Okay.
yes.
So yeah, okay, thanks. So yeah, I mean, let's assume that he is going for an old universe. Even then, he's still assuming that he's got prior understanding of exactly what kind of universe is needed to make life, right? Which he has no idea about whatsoever and has no probabilities. So for all he knows, you could change gravity by a certain amount and only such and such would happen. But then another constant may change.
Why make stuff out of matter at all? Why does God make things out of hadrons and leptons made of quarks? Why can't they be made of spiggle warp that is perpendicular to Thursday on Sundays, in which saints fall slower than sinners? Why is it made of the stuff we are? And the idea that somehow or other he's got a sneak peek at the operating manual to the universe that came with his kit, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And Simos, he doesn't believe in any order. He has said very, very firmly multiple times the Earth is 6,000 years old and Genesis is literally true.
So in which case, who cares about how stars form? The only reason why the anthropic argument loves this stuff is because they have to explain why, for example, carbon forms inside of suns. And if the gravitational constant's not quite right, you can't find the things. And if certain nuclear forces are slightly different, you can't form heavy elements. Well, la-dee-da. But that's occurring within the context of the standard cosmological position, which I don't think he ever really studies. Where's you, Ross, when you need him?
From the Sky special. Now I must do a thing here, much as it pains me to do.
Okay.
I made a statement earlier about Dr. Hooker, who is in fact the person I was thinking of, but I attributed him to the 16th or 17th century, when in fact he is a product. When in fact he operated mostly in the early 19th century. I apologize for anybody that may have been misled by my previous statement.
Everybody's mind brain farts, and at least however Adam would have the explanation that he was drinking, and the same thing with Cy, but you're sober, damn it.
Well, and you see what actually happened. What actually happened here? I was actually looking at my Kindle copy of On the Origin of Species and discovered my mistake.
Whereas here we got the origin of the species.
Whereas here and Squirrel, I was going to say, at least your brain fart wasn't as bad as mine as thinking Mount St. Helena was in North Dakota.
That was
hilarious. I seriously, like, for whatever reason, I thought it was in North Dakota. My brain was.
North Dakota somehow managed to reposition itself between the Washington State cities of Tacoma, or the Washington State cities of Tacoma and Vancouver.
Well,
I failed. Okay. Geography was not my best subject in school. I'll be the first one to tell you that. So
there are some hilarious creationist gaffes on thing. Wendell Bird, in his monumental, stupid, I've forgotten the name of the damn thing. It's a 2-volume work. He's a lawyer. Big creationist thing. He got so many dates wrong. He managed to drag Lord Kelvin into the 18th century.
Is that the Darwin on trial?
But the super duper one was D. James Kennedy, who in a book that he did shortly before his death, he talked about the famous science fiction writer and movie director H.G. Wells. Wells with H.G. Wells.
Now, if I may, for just one more moment, there is a credit that I must give now. And that would go to the captain, because he was the one that was talking about the quote mine, the most common quote mine from On the Origin of Species. It prompted me to go and have a look. Mr. Darwin gave considerable credit to Mr. Hooker in the building of what became with the Origin of Species. It was actually in the introduction. On the first page.
Hooker was the botanist, right?
Huh? What?
Hooker was a botanist, as I recall, right?
Hooker was like was also the largest and most famous paleontologist.
Fino says RJ is going robotic. I don't think it's me. Somebody's got their live feed without the mute on. I checked mine. Mine is muted.
I think
I don't have the live feed on. I just have the live chat.
I'm watching.
All I have is a pop out.
Actually, I'm watching the little audio dots on each of you, and it looks like we're getting feed. Captain, are you on headphones or are you using speakers and mic?
I'm on a headphone mic.
That's weird.
But I'm not getting. But I don't see my thing bouncing up and down except when I talk.
Right. Well, I did
if you want, I can my mic and see if that stops.
Let's give it a test. All right, Squirrel, go ahead with what you were doing. Let's see if it went away.
Right. No. But yeah, I was talking. But Mr. Hooker was actually the preeminent zoologist of his day, not botanist, sir. He did some work in botany. He used some of his earliest experimental material with a microscope is shit that he could get to keep still easily, which usually means some sort of plant matter, because it doesn't tend to run away very quickly. And yes,
and it's cheap.
And that echo I was hearing, gone now.
Yes, it has ceased. We might be getting a little bit of feedback through Captain's headphones there, which is unusual. Or it might
unusual,
be.
But it's not impossible.
Cap is infested with demons.
Might be. All right. Shall we?
He has audio demons.
Shall we continue with Mr. Ty?
Mr. Ty.
Yeah, Mr. Ty, we want to get
Ty's
more of your science that you've copied from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about.
Here we go.
The margin of error in the universe expansion rate is only 1 part in 10 to the 60th power. Cosmologists speak of cosmic coincidences, meaning that the fundamental forces of the universe just happen to have the exact numerical value required to make life possible. The slightest change would yield a universe inhospitable to life.
Maybe.
What makes the question so puzzling is
I got something on that.
All right,
Frank,
I think Squirrel had it first.
Just so we have this fixed in our little brains. That particular nugget comes from a lawyer called Lee Strobel. He also worked for the Disco too.
Yeah.
And he is one of Casey Luskin's best friends. And in fact, if you go and you look at the there was a paper some time ago. I forget who it was I caught it from. I believe it might have been Thunderfoot. But there is actually a possibility that the universe could exist just fine, exactly the way it is, without the weak nuclear force. No quantum and very nearly nothing is determined in quantum mechanics that involves gravity, like ever.
Luskin is a lawyer, but I don't think Strobel is. He's a journalist.
No,
Strobel
Case for Christ
is a lawyer.
If he is, then that wasn't what he was.
A lawyer. Mr. Luskin is also a lawyer, but Mr. Luskin was a scientist first. Mr. Strobel has none of that.
Marginally, of course.
He was science-esque.
And I was going to say, my point of drink was, since he brought up the astronomical odds, the odds of me sitting here talking with you, the odds of Cy, RJ, Lord Crocker Squirrel, Andy, and everyone else who is in this chat, and everyone in the public chat, sitting where they are, saying exactly what they say, and us saying exactly what we say, listening to this particular video, are so astronomical, it would be impossible to happen.
Yet, God intended this event to happen.
Are you guys saying this show?
Flan says this is the worst O-face game ever.
I was going to bring that up.
Several things have popped up with Mr. Ty, who
There was a discussion about altar boys earlier, which I just didn't comment on. I just looked away
That's
from the screen.
a wise policy, Si.
Absolutely.
I read it, was like, oh boy,
Oh,
we're
no.
going down that road already. I haven't even had a full bottle of beer
I
yet.
think Stephen Weinberg had also put some criticisms in about some of the excesses of that anthropic argument, that some of the stuff actually has quite a wide margin. They're a narrow one if you look at it from some directions, but they can also be like orders of magnitude variation looked at the fine point level. But then the whole issue is begged. What is life? Why does life have to be what it is? Why do things have to be made of matter? So yeah, if everything has to be the way it is, then it can't change. But can it change? Can you ever tweak any of these variables? And if so, who cares? And then even if it does, even if you buy into this big anthropic coincidence with the big stereo set, who says it's the God of Abraham doing the twiddling? Why not Vishnu or Marduk or one of the other ones?
Alrighty. And on that note,
Flying spaghetti monster. He's got his noodly tendrils. He can adjust all the knobs at once.
absolutely, that's why he has so many. And, yes, do you have something, Captain?
No, I was just saying, yeah, exactly. I was agreeing with your joke there. I'm like, yep, that's exactly.
And after all, if there was no flying spaghetti monster, why do bow tie pastas look like bow ties? Answer me that.
Alrighty. Shall we return to Mr. Ty?
I'm channeling
sure.
William Lane Craig.
Here comes Mr. Ty.
Physical cause explaining this fine-tuned complexity. George Greenstein writes, nothing in all of physics explains why its fundamental principles should conform themselves so precisely to life's requirement.
Oh, drink.
Okay. Go ahead.
Here's an interesting thing that reveals an awful lot about the way they construct their arguments. Dr. Greenstein, who the hell is he? Why is he assuming anybody in the audience? I don't even know off the top of my hat who that person is. Is he a science writer? Is he a bricklayer? Is he a prominent physicist? Is he somebody who died 40 years ago and hasn't been keeping up with the literature? Is he somebody who decided the bubonic plague came from space like Fred Hoyle did? Who the hell is he? But yet he drops names as though they mean something and then doesn't even have the judiciousness to explain whose name he's dropping.
Well, RJ, consider his audience. He did do name dropping, but not the name you think. For his audience...
Yeah, God and everything else. Yes, he's on a first-name basis with God, I'm sure.
Yeah, for his audience, it doesn't matter who the actual name that you're thinking he dropped is. What matters is he dropped the name Doctor. That's all his audience needed to hear.
Yeah. That's the PhD is always an important thing. And what I will bet is the reason why he doesn't identify who it is because he got it from a quote mine. So all he sees is the cute little quote that he got from the anthropic section of the website. And there was Dr. Greenstein. And there it is. It's true. And he copies it secondarily and tells his audience here. And maybe somebody in the audience, in the sparse audience, is writing things down. But I'll tell you, apparently we're listening to this, then we're attending the president's tree lighting ceremony.
You know, I wonder if he could get paid for doing that kind of research, like cut and paste research. I wonder.
Oh, in a way, I imagine there's little staffers, or unless you're Haru and Yaya and you have your little cut and pasters do it all volunteer.
You know, that's the first time you've ever said Yaya normally. Are you aware of that?
Oh, Haru and Yaya!
There you go.
There you go. But I'm
sorry, I was too much into Mr. Ty to remember about how I should be saying his name.
Understand.
Yeah, I was going to say, RJ, isn't that all the ICR does?
Yeah, well, they've got but the ICR is a very different gang than the Discovery Institute. If you look at, because I've been measuring who are the actual fact claimants and who are just the secondary redactor crowd. And if you look at the Discovery Institute, for all practical purposes, their primary posters are their fact claimants. And if you gathered them all together at a Holiday Inn for a meeting, and it would only take about a dozen chairs, would have obliterated the design movement in one fell swoop. But at ICR or Answers in Genesis, they have a bunch of lower level flunkies who are actually the fact claimants. So the higher level ones, the Ken Hams and the Ray Comforts and the various apologetic types that are the point people that do the lecturing and appear on the shows, they aren't fact claimants. They're the secondary redactors. It's the little low flunkies, the Brian Thomases and the Jeffrey Tompkinses and all that kind of stuff that most people, including most of the people in that room, I bet, have never heard of. And so there's a slightly different dynamic about how fact claimant assertions filter through the food chain. So in some respects, you're at a more direct spigot than you would have at Answers in Genesis.
Okay, I did not know that.
No, well, that's why I'm here, because I do this as my work.
Yeah. Like I said, I always love listening to you because I always learn something new.
Or amazingly, out of some 2,000 anti-evolutionists that I've been covering at TIP, involving about 8,000 sources, 95% of them are just secondary copyists. There's about 150 or so who have ever bothered to even cite primary source material. But of those, there are about 45 who are fact claimants. Are young Earth creationists, and the other third are intelligent design people. That's it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let Mr. Ty talk. I want more science.
Mr. Ty.
Okay, here comes the science of Ty. Here it comes.
In other words, there is no physical explanation for why the universe is the way it is. To make it even more clear, perhaps, imagine that you found a huge universe-creating machine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have something, RJ?
I'm just saying there is an audience.
Yes, there they are. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. And it had thousands of dials on this machine, representing the gravitational constant and the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force and the electromagnetic force and the ratio of the mass of the protein and the electron.
Okay, we've had a call.
I had to get him in the middle, but this is what you call a tie strike.
This is Mr. O face. It's a Mr. O umlaut.
Right. The worst part of it is he's pulling the whole TIE Fighter routine, and he's absolutely wrong. The four fundamental interactions, we can do all kinds of really fun things without two of them.
And plus, they are apparently related. Two of them, the electroweak, electromagnetism, and the weak nuclear force, are all one force. You can verify that in particle accelerators. So they don't really have a disconnected. You can't just change it. Or remember, of course, we've had so many discussions with Flat Earth and other ones that try to tweak E = mc square and think they can play around with the speed of light without affecting the E = mc square part. You know, isn't it amazing? Do you know that energy is exactly E = mc square? You know, if it was anything different than E = mc square, why things would be different.
Indeed. All right. So let's hear more of the twisting of the knobs.
A trans girl, RJ, on the gaskets. I have really well fixed gaskets, and I oil them frequently.
Yeah, that's my friend who I saw her quote earlier, and I'm like, oh god, yeah.
No, Brooke, don't worry about RJ. I'm the one you need to be concerned with. I've already been tempted several times to reach through the screen and shove something rather large in his gob. Just so he'll shut up.
Okay. Yeah,
you
I
just
think
have
this
to
goes back.
Have a little flag you can wave. Citation needed. Citation needed.
I don't even need a flag. You know what I want? I want probably about 25 grams of composition 4 in a nice little shape. If all I really need is like a little bell, a little steel bell. I'll put it on the thing, and when he says something this incredibly stupid, I just flip a little wireless switch in my hand. Pop. No problem.
Yeah, you're starting to remind me of our conversation last week don't make you mad with your knowledge of chemistry.
I'm sorry I couldn't do it last week because I was incommunicado in Seattle.
In this case, it's the geometry of a shape charge.
Okay.
What the hell does he think are the thousands of dials? What thousands of fundamental constants does he think there are? What, Spindle and Lobney?
And for those of you just living in Europe, then I've got to say, he looks remarkably. He looks remarkably
like fundamental forces, fundamental interactions, and as soon as he
Squirrel, Seamus is talking.
He might start thinking about working on.
Yeah, I want to hear what Seamus thinks he's remarkably like. I'm really wanting to know.
Yeah, Squirrel, calm down. Seamus was trying to talk.
Silence, Seamus. Sorry about all that. Please go ahead.
No worries. Yeah, for those of you watching in Europe, he looks remarkably like Sven-Göran Eriksson, who is an England manager. I know that doesn't mean anything to you guys, but since everybody else was talking bullshit for ages, I thought I'd throw some of my own in without someone interrupting me, which didn't seem possible.
All right, everybody.
Hi Ev. Hi Ev says, have him turn the knob to change the value of pi.
Yeah, I was going to say, Squirrel, Brooke is apparently still scared of you from last week, too. No.
All right, let us...
And I don't blame her.
I hope trans girl Brooke finds that I am sweet and cuddly, but I still devour people if they say stupid.
Indeed. And just a little note for all, let us try to once again emulate the wonderful invention of Ethernet. And listen first. Before, if you have something to say, just listen for a half a second, see if someone else is already conversing on that or any other topic, and then pause until they have concluded. We've had a few talk over it, not a lot. We're doing good this show, but let's make sure we be like Ethernet, shall we? All right, I'm done.
Now, more science from Ty.
The science of Ty continues.
And all the rest of the complexity of matter. And imagine that each dial has hundreds of possible settings, and you can spin them and twirl them around at your will. Nothing is preset to any particular value.
Like Anthony Liley doing photo forensics. Let's just watch these dials all over the place. Let's just, look at that dial. Let's move it here.
Well, that would explain some of nature, I think.
Indeed. Sorry about that. Liley just had to mention that. Squirrel, you have something to add?
Yes, Mr. Cooney said something really funny.
Oh.
Tim Cooney said something really, really entertaining.
It's science.
Nice.
And Phoenix says divinity.
Oh my! Look, we're gonna have to move a little faster getting Punbay. Yeah. Punbay.com.
I'm still waiting for more science.
All right, here comes more science.
What you discover is, however, that the infinite number of dials just happen to be set exactly at the right value everywhere in the entire complexity of the universe so that it all operates perfectly. When even the slightest tweak of one of the cosmic knobs would produce a universe where life was impossible.
Oh, wonderful.
Drink.
Seamus, you're up.
Yeah. I know what knob he's referring to. That's why they call God a man.
All right.
But did you notice how he turned 4 fundamental forces into thousands of knobs into infinite combinations?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Yes. Now here's another thing I might add.
Yes.
If he's going to go there with the whole, if he's gonna start running into the fine tuning argument, I am going to suggest that he go to Mount Everest, find a single iron atom inside that mountain, and then try and tell me that mountain is fine tuned to be a fucking Lamborghini.
Now, can you get a married or polygamous iron atom rather than a single one?
Oh, I want
Crypto's got a good one.
I want one stable iron atom in Mount Everest.
What I missed from
Crypto's got a wonderful,
and that's and Mount Everest will suddenly be fine-tuned to be a Lamborghini Countach, because that's exactly what that argument boils down to.
Indeed. What you got,
Squirrel,
RJ?
if you're looking for single stable isotopes, then go ahead and hop on the USGS page and take a look at some of my dad's work.
Yeah, honestly,
Ed DeWitt with the USGS.
I'm more talking about scale. I do abuse.
I know you're working with scale. I'm just saying. Take a look.
It's a scale comparison, not anything else.
All right, before it scrolls off the screen, RJ wanted to make a reference to crypto.
Yeah,
go ahead, RJ.
Crypto is talking about Walt Disney presents his response to The Life of Pi, The Life of Ty, The Journey from Suit-Wearing Prick to Cactus-Humping Hick. Rated PF for pretty funny.
I like it. All right.
I do too. I think we'd see that, and we want that in 3D.
Oh Lord! All right.
I point out then that the universe is fine-tuned for Lamborghinis, of course, because old men deserve 22-year-old girlfriends.
Yeah, and it's clearly fine-tuned for Richard Dawkins being on the bestseller list. That's obviously God's plan.
It seems to be that way. All right. Back to the science.
Yeah.
As a science reporter,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
left side.
We're about. Let's see.
I don't care how far in we are. I'm wondering how much we have left.
We've got maybe, I don't know, some 30, 40 minutes, something like that.
What?
Oh my God! Can we jump to the next one already?
An hour long?
Yeah, jump.
Yeah.
I call for jump.
Yeah.
3.
All right, now, Captain, since you requested this video, let's leave the final decision to you. Have you had enough of Mr. Ty?
You can jump. He makes. If you come in, you'll come in on another dumb argument. I mean, he does this kind of stuff all through the video. I think we cut the last 5 minutes. That's usually when he starts his prayer. So that's usually what I cut off.
Oh, all right.
Let's just see where 10 minutes is.
So we're gonna hop ahead 10 minutes. Okay, got it.
I came into this with the understanding that there would be some Orphan Red, and you know, it is been 2 hours and 15 minutes.
All right,
all
right, let's get going then.
If we stop now, we could go to the Orphan Red video and come back to this. I mean,
that way. I think I'd appreciate that. I'd come.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm at this point. I'm kind of flagging off now. So
all right.
Yeah, he is one.
Should wander away for a while.
Yeah, when I
go ahead and do the Orphan Red thing, and we'll come back to this video next week and do another about 10-15 minutes.
All right.
I was gonna say with him.
Work it around.
I have to stop like every 15 minutes in my videos and just like, okay, I got to take a break from this idiot because, I can't even get through an hour.
Oddly enough.
That could be done. You could pause it here, and next week we could resume at this point to continue the bang your head with a ball peen Hanner lecture.
All right. Let me
I'm
mark
gonna,
in the
I'm
documentation.
going to wander off now. I need to find something to eat and maybe a spot to nap in.
All right. We'll be here. And
we're at
15.
Speaking of banging your head, that would be called irreducible stupidity.
I think MacArthur is doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
All right. It is marked that in this video we stopped at a whole 15 minutes and 24 seconds. And we did that in record time.
Yeah, that's about my my tolerance level of him.
That's about a quarter of the way through his wonderful lecture on science cribbed from people who don't know anything about it.
That's why I thought it was funny when you mentioned that 15 minutes. That's why I thought that was funny, because everybody seems sick of this after exactly that amount of time.
Yeah, I think I made it 22 one time, and that was it for me.
And
I was like, I mean,
at least Baronism has some pretty little graphics.
Absolutely. And this, let's not forget, this means we have to look back a little bit in this show. And actually, all of us have to apologize to Andy. He was right.
Well, you know what happens when you drop an anti-evolutionist in front of me? I mean, I could have since read me.
Yeah.
I was happy that you could make it, RJ, but I was also like, oh boy, this is what would normally might take an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Long show.
Is just turned into a 5-hour lecture.
If I can apologize a little bit, I was producing less drink calls than our Crocker Squirrel.
Mhm.
And so some of those I think he could have let slide.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it.
There was definitely a drink or two that didn't need to be called, but you know, it's all good.
Live and learn.
I will be back. I need
In the
another
next
beer.
moments,
Okay.
we'll learn more about the great science of Thai.
Okay, it is saved. I have recorded the stop time at a whole 15
Frankly,
minutes.
sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Not at all. That's it. I recorded the stop time, and I've got.
I'd just like to end on some scripture, if I may.
Oh, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. There's too many TIE fighters. Luke, there's too many TIE fighters. Thank you.
And this is not the science you were looking for.
All right. And Andy, Andy, you had some fun to add.
Yeah. I think it was pretty sufficiently covered by CMOS and RJ.
Okay. All right. Now for this next one, which, as promised, is Orphan Red.
Okay.
It's a very odd video. We've been wondering whether Orphan Red.
Odd for her?
Well, yeah. See, because we've been talking about
she's an orphan. There's nothing odd.
But both, offline and on the show, we've been wondering if Orphan Red is really a flat earther or just enjoys making a show, for the entertainment of the internet. We've been wondering about this. After this, you're going to wonder a little bit more because, surprisingly, well, I'll tell you the name of it. It's called
Cleavageless Flat Earth.
It's called Flatwater Flat Earth Debunked. And you watch this. Yeah, that's.
I thought she was.
I didn't know it was bumped.
Wait, I seriously isn't she like a strong flat earther? I watched your what was it like the March 7th one? I think it was.
Well,
and that's why I first came across her. I'm like,
yeah,
wow, she is stupid.
Well, okay, let's be real honest. Orphan, individually named person, darn well knows water curves by the shape of their own figure.
All right, remember, let's
guys. We have tidal forces that are measurable with a gravitometer as the moment she enters the room. Okay.
Now, guys, now she's an orphan, so please.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
I'm gonna
as
say
Oscar Wilde.
Go ahead, Cap. I was just gonna make the. Sorry, go ahead, RJ. I'll say afterwards.
Okay, as Oscar Wilde said about orphans, says to lose one a parent is a tragedy. To lose both smacks of carelessness.
Yeah, I was. My joke that I was gonna make was, she's Orphan Red because nobody would have her as her redheaded stepchild.
Well, all right. Now,
wasn't nice.
There has been discussion that. Like I said, there has been discussion that, and Lucifer Almighty says he thinks Orphan Red is a Poe. That's exactly what we're talking about. She may have just been making a show, and it's hard to tell. But anyway, what was it? When did we have Flat Earth Asshole on going against the entire Flat Earth community and calling out people by name? 2 weeks ago.
He's still doing it. He's still doing it.
Yeah, he's probably another one. But anyway. Let us welcome Orphan Red to the stage, and
cue up Orphan Red.
We will see what she has
for
to
more
say.
Science.
I'm just wondering.
Can I get in trouble for cat calls?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. She is kind of.
Which species of cat were you planning on calling?
Well, that depends on whether
you have logo
litter box or shits on the floor.
All right, here we go.
I wonder if her real father is the Red Baron.
It could be. All right. Here comes Orphan Red.
Hello. I'm making a video.
Whoa, volume.
I'm back to make a little video. I'm working on a longer video project proposal thing that I hope to share with you.
Okay.
The picture she shows with this here says the sun looks close because it is close. Unless by close they mean the thousands or however far it is away from the Earth.
93 million miles.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, they're going for about 3,000, aren't they? But I don't know that she's saying that
Oh,
at the moment.
sorry. You're
I,
right.
I don't think this group that does that sort of argument actually likes put numbers to anything. Have you ever spotted them do that?
There have been a few that slip and will say 3,000 miles up and it's 40 miles across or whatever.
Ooh,
But it does
wow,
happen.
the sciencey ones.
Indeed. I'm not sure
I just
she's...
saw the photo and
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy.
I'm not sure she's actually asserting that, though. She may... Let's... let's back it up and make sure. Because I do want to give her too much credit.
That's what the photo says.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
At least what I could catch of it.
Tim Cooney says, did she make this in a mall? If we don't see Roy Moore, that's possible.
CMS, what do you got?
Yep. I was just going to say, I think this might be doctored because it's got one of those NASA lines on it.
Yeah. CGI arrow.
Absolutely. I hadn't noticed that. Look at that. It's and they cleverly conceal the red arrow so that,
it looks fake to me.
You may be right.
Sure sign of a NASA photo. Sure sign of a NASA photo.
Absolutely.
I bet if you went out there, you wouldn't see letters saying the sun must be right here, not far above the clouds. That's superimposed. That's digital.
I don't know. I have seen letters floating in the water similar to that. All right, here we go.
Have you seek medical attention?
Here we go.
Soon, but in the meantime, I just wanted to address this little thing.
See, this is what I'm saying. I think she's objecting to that the sun must be right here because of crepuscular rays, which if you watch Sean's channel, he made a hell of a video debunking that crap with photos we took. But she put having this one up next in her video is basically saying that first photo was crap.
Yeah.
Is it not?
Okay, yeah. Now she shows this one, and now I feel like an idiot for calling it out.
Not at all. I figured I would just drag it out so everyone could understand the level of
It's possible she
mistake
can
you made.
hold two simultaneously conflicting positions. It wouldn't be the first time among wooists.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Or even po-wooists, which we're still not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to Red.
Way to jump on it, Fino.
Oh, what Fino got? Yes, indeed. Okay, here we go.
That came up this summer. I am having a disagreement with one of the other YouTubers who covers flat Earth content. And one of the issues that we're having, or the source of our disagreement, is, well, there are a lot of reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to call. There's an internet law that says anytime you show your cat, you're immediately wrong.
Yes. In principle, it can.
I mean, that's like 1990 internet rules.
Nah, I'm an old school.
Okay. All right.
What can I say? Gratuitous cat shots.
Indeed.
Can I read that in the serious voice?
Oh, sure, RJ.
That
yes,
feeling
that's a good
when
idea.
you realize that even though the Earth is flat, maybe it's time to start pretending you believe in the crazy wrong globe model only sheep buy into, just so you can go back to normal people's social circles.
You know, there might be a reason, you know, you aren't in normal people's social circles. Might be a reason behind that.
I'm telling you, off the internet, she might very well be.
The normal circle people flee.
I don't think she really believes this foolishness at all. That's just my opinion.
Yes.
Especially since she took a meme and look at the add-ins she added. RJ, do the serious voice for her first quote there. The
water is only flat, except when it's not. But all the other times it is, and that proves the Earth is flat. Feppy, I can see Feppy. Yeah, I think we're either having the thing that she's bipolar, to where one of her personalities is having an argument with the other personality, or she's just a bullshitter.
Absolutely.
Bullshitter.
we don't have to look at it that harshly. She just may enjoy making a show to entertain people, and just so happens all the flat earthers are falling for it.
Piltdown Flat said the cat is Photoshop. Say it ain't so, Flan. Say it ain't so.
Wait, if the cat is Photoshop, does that mean we can't believe in cats anymore? Well, there goes my cat goddess worship.
Correct. Cats are part of the thing that the sheeple are telling you is true. Haven't you asked the penguins?
Look, I'm not falling for this cat nonsense. No. It's clearly CGI. I'm not falling for it. Okay, here we go.
Penguins are drawing cats through AI.
Yeah, it's all coming together now.
Indeed. And here's more red.
One of the topics that I'd like to kind of look at a little bit more closely in this video is whether we can use our senses to gather truth about our world. I believe that our senses give us information.
Looking at the camera.
Okay, I've watched this one because I was curious. She's talking about senses. If I remember correctly, she actually makes sense during this little presentation.
Fast track. I have to ask you real quick.
Red makes sense.
Andy's
is the world ending?
Yeah, I know it's more surprised than I. Andy, you have a question, sir?
I do. Did you start the O-Face game early and not tell us?
No, we're not doing that. And we're not doing it anymore.
Kevin's equipped with that as standard.
We're not doing that anymore. It offended a young lady on.
Wait, that was banned again?
It's still banned until.
I would guess that one. I would guess that one of us.
All right.
I would guess that one of the senses is feels.
Rim says she's going for the
corner of the mouth game.
All right, here we go with more red.
About the reality of our world, but I don't think that in any way gives us truth about our world. All it is information that's already been interpreted by the various mechanisms between our senses that are in contact with the world and our conscious mind, and the images and the information that kind of gets through to that conscious experience of the world that we have. And so I am strongly in disagreement with flat earthers who tell their followers, because some flat earthers have friends and subscribers, and some flat earthers have...
Drink.
Okay, Andy?
Flat earthers don't have friends.
Oh, that's true.
Okay. But you see the point she was making, right? That the argument, use your senses to measure stuff and determine truth. She just said and demonstrated with those with the graphics she put up that your senses cannot be trusted, and that's the argument she's making. That the flat earther argument that, well, you can see it's flat, is not valid. This is what concerned me about this video. She's speaking logically for a good chunk of it. Anyway, and
sorry, I got distracted by Buffy. What did you say?
I'm sorry, I didn't even hear you. I didn't even didn't even hear you because Buffy's on the screen.
You make the serious point there that she's appealing to the reliability of the senses at the same time showing that the senses aren't reliable. So yeah, nicely put.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Crypto just said flat earthers don't have friends. Why don't you tell that to Jism? And I'm just sitting here thinking like, oh dear, please don't let Jism be like a Beetlejuice where you say his name and he shows up.
Okay, that makes twice.
Jism.
God damn it. All right. Here's more red making sense, oddly enough.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Our senses don't give us truth. In the same way that data doesn't give us truth. Everything has to be interpreted, and that interpretation relies on...
Oh, okay. Andy?
Data always provided us truth. I don't know if anybody else here was a Star Trek fan, but... I mean, Data never lied.
Wait a minute. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Data lied once that I remember. The weapon. Right. The weapon. Something must have happened in transport when he had the unlawful phaser that he was going to shoot the guy, and he told the folks when he got back on the ship something must have happened in transport when something happened before transport. He was going to shoot
Well,
that
there
guy's
was that
ass.
one, and there was also another. Well, okay, I don't need to go all Trekkie. You're right,
Ironically,
you're right.
ironically, what she's doing is making the same confusion that I was in a debate with somebody on Twitter that was making exactly the same mistake. She's confusing perception of information with the information itself.
Yeah, I was
And
going
you
to
can
say, is she
eventually
making?
develop tools and protocols to weed out the perceptual things to actually go to the observable information stuff, which even her pictures that are up there between how people decide what colors are what, that's a perceptual thing. But you can determine what the data are as they did with the little squares moving back and forth. So there is, in fact, information there, and it's separate from the perception of it.
Agreed. And it's see, we're so used to her being a flat earther and pushing silliness that if we actually were to rewind, which we're not going to do because it's
No.
But what she was actually saying was pretty much what you said, that it's not the data, it's how it's interpreted and all that sort of thing, which is basically a simplified description of we need mechanisms to interpret data to come out with truth. But that's what I told you. That's what scares me about this video.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is she like the argument that I've always heard is that, you know, our senses are only so reliable and we can only rely on them so much because we only have the reasonable expectation that they're right. But even our senses can fool us. Like if you look at lightning, it looks like it goes from the sky to the ground, but in all reality, it goes from the ground to the sky.
Here, the thing is that she's running the logic in the wrong direction on here, because she is also saying that you can't trust information. Information can't tell you the truth because of our perceptions. But no, it's the scientific method that, aware of the fact that we have perceptual limitations, finds mechanisms to discover what the information content is independent of your perceptual limitations. And that's the logic train that she doesn't seem to be wanting to get on.
RJ, I think what she was like, I don't know, this is how I interpreted what she was saying. How I understood it was she's saying that it can't technically give us truth, as more it points to truth. It will point us in the direction that we need to look, not it actually tells us.
I told you it's going to be feels. But
yeah,
look, we need to move on from this, because my brain is doing nuts thinking of what the next Rubik's Cube move is on these squares.
Yes, we don't want to have that happen. Yes.
Here we go.
Okay.
So let us find out. Let us hear more of her sciencey stuff.
And I think we killed Hillel again. You know, like Kenny. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Poor Hillel.
Oh my god! They killed Hillel. You bastards!
Yeah,
You bastards!
I asked him. Oh, what was that? At 10:58 my time. Yeah, that was 2 hours ago. I asked Hill a question in the private chat that no.
Okay.
He's been asleep for a minute.
Great. We
And I was just looking for eclipse pictures, which, what the heck, I might as well throw it out there to everybody else out there. I need 30 seconds of eclipse pictures to finish a video. If anyone's interested, Psystrike, could you help me in this one? I really want to get this one finished, wrapped up, and posted.
Okay. Did I send you the short attention span theater version?
Oh yeah, it's
okay. Just making sure
it is there. I just still have 30 seconds. That,
all right.
Well, I guess to be technically accurate, I have 30.01 seconds. But
all right,
you know, I'm pretty sure I can eliminate that
Andy,
100th of a second. Yes,
Andy,
Simos.
Would a torch through an anal bead with a kitchen plate do?
Do we have to?
Yeah.
Because I know a guy that's got such a thing that shows an eclipse.
Indeed. Hold on, let me call Lily. All right. On that note,
how about pretend that you sent me that information? I'll pretend I deleted it, and I'll pretend I never received it, so that when what the fuck, dude?
All right, here we go. Back to Red.
Previous video, Andy. No worries.
And categorization, how we make sense of things, how our brain makes sense of what's relevant and what it can ignore or dismiss. And to pretend that that's not true is alive.
Drink.
So,
Oh, did you call drink?
I did.
Oh, please go ahead.
Utilizing color spectrums in this way is actually a really easy way of fooling the human mind into saying this is the same color when in fact they're not always necessarily the same color.
Indeed.
I would actually, you know, you'd have to sit down and grayscale this entire thing and determine whether or not this particular image is true or not. But I've done this a couple of times with other images where, oh, you'd never guess that this color and this color are identical. Well, no, they're not actually. They're tricks it'll utilize thanks to computer technology, and it's, you know, it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. It's a good way to play pranks on your friends. But not always necessarily truthful.
Indeed. All right. Here we go.
one of the contentions of this unnamed YouTuber is that water simply doesn't curve. I reject the globe earth model, but I do it based on good reasons, not based on lies or misunderstandings of science.
Okay.
There is no good reason to reject the globe model and accept a flat earth model.
I would tend to agree, and I'm interested to hear what she, as if I haven't heard it already, what she has to
how
say.
should I get curvy water on a flat earth?
About, yes. I don't know how she's going to reconcile those, but it seems she's objecting to the whole water's always flat stuff, so let us see.
Well, also, I object to the subliminal cat messages.
Oh, yeah. They are kind of sneaky about that.
I feel like going outside and going in the garden and having a shit.
Well, I always keep a subliminal cat here next to the subliminal dog.
That's a good place. Good place to keep them. Alrighty.
Yeah.
The hell is messaging me at this hour? Do people not sleep? Alright, here we go.
And I think that that's important because otherwise we can convince people of the flat earth model using wrong information and maybe persuade them, but as soon as they encounter anyone with scientific knowledge, that person will be able to persuade them that the flat earth is not the truth, that the globe model is correct, just by undermining that false information. So when flat earthers go around saying that water can't curve, and that's proof of the flat earth, that water only conforms to the shape of its container, and so therefore on a convex shape it would just slippity slide right off. That's not true. The globe model suggests that there's a magical force called gravity that holds the water in this curved position. So here's an experiment showing a different invisible magical force holding water in a curved holding water in a curving path, which according to certain flat earthers should be impossible, because according to them, our experience of the world dictates that water never curves under the power of some kind of invisible force, and that water only ever lies flat, only ever conforms to the inside of a container in which it's placed, and so water falling freely should always and only fall straight downward. And this experiment proves that that's not the—
Yes, sir?
Okay. Called drink twice. I was just checking, making sure I was still actually on the air.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't hear you.
No, it was a quiet.
That's what I was guessing. It was just.
I would have said, you know, hey, I think Andy called drink.
Absolutely. If someone hears it and I do not, please let me know.
Well, yeah, generally everyone does. I wasn't sure if I accidentally sat on the weird little button that's. I don't. This headset that I have is really annoying. It doesn't work right.
Okay, and what was your...
If I had sat on something, so I figured I'd just... But
Glad you did. What was your call?
Oh, shit. Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to renege on my drink because I'm
Wait, I can't put it back. I can't...
No, don't hit back. I do not want you to hit back. I am going to renege on my drink because I do not want you to go back.
Okay.
Just for archival purposes, can anybody remember when Orphan Red has given the good explanations for why the Earth is not a globe?
I'm sorry, I do not recall.
Oh, so she kind of skips that part. Okay, all sizzle no steak.
Well,
okay.
Once again, I've got high hopes here because if you look carefully, I think she might be a Vulcan.
Hey.
She does have the right ear structure.
Indeed. And hey, look, Paul has joined us in the chat.
Didn't get on the boat.
Paul, thank you for the congratulations. Yes, we passed 2K subscribers. That is why tomorrow, as I may have mentioned, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our anniversary / 2K show because we also just passed 2 years of Science Strike Force. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern, be there or be square.
I do
Science
have
Strike Force.
Yeah, I
Right.
do have one
Strike.
point.
I would have to argue, though, if you don't mind, be there or be a rhombus.
Okay. And Captain, you had something to add?
I like isohedron.
Captain, what do you
Okay,
got?
I have one thing to say on this when she was saying, because I had a belt called Drink and he got it in, you know, when I was getting ready to call it, was when she was talking about an invisible, a magical force called gravity, and it doesn't make it curve. No, the water in the oceans, I'm just going to go with the oceans for now, can form to the shape of the oceans. The gravity just holds it to the earth.
Indeed.
It doesn't curve it.
And, guys, look at what Rim has suggested for the 2K show.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay. There's a reason I use my picture and not a live video.
I can guarantee you nobody wants
to see this.
to see Archie under those circumstances.
Well, actually, nobody's got their camera on. All these guys might be.
Yeah, there you go.
They might be new now.
While we speak, but I wouldn't because it's damn cold in the room.
Oh, there you go. Webcam.
Oh, no,
Webcam's on.
No.
What?
I'm working on it now.
He said, Rim said webcams on.
What? These videos are not torture enough for you?
I know what I look like.
That would violate the Geneva Convention, Rim.
Yeah. With me, everybody, I mean, you can't even drink me looking good, okay? I am, no. You could be hammered drunk and look at me and go, oh crap, I'm getting out of here.
You're in a no beer goggles zone, are you?
Yeah. I'm not the best
I'm
looking.
pretty sure that if it was a web cameras on, I'm sorry, but 24 hours notice is not enough to shave my beard.
Okay.
Just
all right.
in some,
I can barely see through my own beard.
Well, if
let alone anybody else see me through it.
If we have Orphan Red on next week, then I'll go on the cam. No worries. She's gorgeous.
Fino says.
Anyway,
Fino says you can bring monetization on YouPorn.
I will agree with you on that, Simo. She's a damn pretty woman.
I would also tend to agree. All right, let us move on with Red.
Yeah,
there we go.
I would too. I'm just partial redhead still myself. So
Andy, look at Fino's Fino's last comment.
I'm just partial to.
Oh, Cryptos asks, guess how many UPS drivers Orphan Red is keeping in her basement?
And
the blowtorch is for another evening, and it has nothing to do with shaving, although
it would work.
I might be smelling burnt hair when I fire it up the first few times.
Poof, no eyebrows.
The industrial blowtorch is being built tomorrow. In case there are any backyard science fans here, this thing is being built tomorrow. I got all the supplies today, and it's either going to burn the crap out of me or it's going to burn the crap out of some awesome chemistry.
And will we be hearing about this on Sunday?
I will film it to be on Sunday.
Nice.
And if film alone isn't good enough, then hell yeah, I'll burn it on Sunday too.
It looks like you're gonna have a good show on Sunday. Nice. All right, Seamus, you had something to add?
No, I can't remember. It's good.
Okay. back to Red then. Here we go.
Case. This experiment proves that under the power of an invisible force, water curves independently.
Okay.
I just want to take a second to let everyone know that when we're talking about Red, we're not talking about Red's rhetoric.
Oh, Jesus. I'm kind of hoping everybody knows that.
Still,
I had to throw him in there for a second. I mean,
you managed to get the video to stop in the right place, though, this time, eh?
All right, let's hit play before we get into trouble again. Here we go.
If the O-Face game is no longer a thing, then I say we play the Reds rhetoric game.
What's the Reds rhetoric game? I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, if it involves
We're still working on that.
If it involves donkey porn, I'm not interested.
But this might be an example.
Here we go.
Of any container. This doesn't prove that the Earth is a globe. What it proves is that the claim that flat water somehow proves flat Earth is not a rational claim. It's not the right way to go about promoting the flat Earth theory.
Oh my. Look, she's demonstrating water curving under an invisible force, contrary to the claims of flat earthers that it can't. This is what I was telling you. This video made me nervous that she's speaking rationally.
Yeah, I was going to say, but that's going to be static electricity from the comb.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? The water's still going down, which would imply gravity is still in existence.
Well, see, that's the other thing. She mentions an invisible force, and there's no other way to interpret it. She was talking about gravity through this whole video. The invisible. To make various dumber flat earthers happy, she referred to it as the magical force of gravity earlier. But that's what she was talking about.
I thought from this she was meaning that, because I was wondering what she was meaning by invisible force if she called gravity magic. But I figured she was meaning when she showed this, the static electricity would be the gravity. Oh, and HIEV actually called it.
Mm-hmm.
He called it, static electricity is going to bend the stream of water.
Nice catch, but...
Well, if you get up in a hot air balloon high enough, don't you see that the Earth is a giant comb?
On that note, let us proceed and see what other wisdom she has to impart on us. Here we go.
Beautiful.
I don't care what anybody says.
To Richard Strauss.
The movie.
Okay, there were an awful lot of comments there. I don't know who started talking first. It sounded like Andy. What you got, Andy?
I was just going to say, I don't care what anyone says. Mars Attacks is an awesome movie.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad you got the joke on that one, Andy.
Oh, who didn't? All righty. Here we go.
Subscribe to my channel. Conspiracy.
And again, as Seamus pointed out earlier, the subliminal cat stuff is just frightening. You're just looking at this picture.
And fire engines too. She's putting subliminal fire engines in there.
Yeah, but before we did this show, somebody had to point out to me that there is. I mean, you can all see this image, right? I was told there's actually a cat in this video, in this image. If you look hard, you can see it. See how they sneak it in on you there? Anyway,
yeah, it's really subliminal. Yeah, it might be somewhere near the concrete cat paws.
Oh, okay, good. Now that you mentioned that, yes, there it is. Yep, I see it.
And of course, that is concrete. So this cat now sleeps with the fishes.
What What do you like? Squeal on
Concrete shoes,
somebody?
concrete overcoat. Yeah, same thing.
All right. And why is she doing the subscribe thing now? This is halfway through her thing. All right, here we go. Huh? Was there more?
No, I was gonna say, that's not it. Did you do that at the end? Subscribe.
There's more, but she was talking about subscribing already. So all right, let's see what we got.
All right.
Because I am better.
At what?
Everything.
Oh, there's going to be more examples of illusions. Interesting.
Hold on.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Yep. What you got?
I don't think I've ever called for a backup, but could you back that up just a few? It looks like Orphan Red. Oh, could you back it up a few?
Oh, you want to see if the cat was really in the picture?
No, not the cat. The sediment layer.
Before this?
Yes, the blue dress.
Okay, starting here.
Oh, I thought you were going for a Cumberbatch.
Hold on.
Starting here or back up more? Andy, do you want it to back up more?
Blue run down. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I think this might actually be a little tease at 3 blue, 1 brown.
I think you may have had too much strontium tonight, Andy.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I'm lost too.
What?
It's really, you guys don't watch shows about calculus for fun? Am I really that weird?
Well, no, I do.
I don't think I have the calculus channel on my cable outlet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Andy, do you want us to lie or answer that honestly?
I want you to answer it honestly. I don't care if I'm weird.
All right, actually, I'm just interested in why are we looking at the bottom? Why are we looking at this blue dress? Is what I'd like to know.
It had to do with the layering effect that was being used, and it seemed like a play on words and a joke in my mind to 3 blue, 1 brown.
Too much strontium.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey, and if it is from a, like I said, she may be just acting. That to which you refer may very well be the reference. I don't know. All right, shall we proceed?
Oh, sure.
Okay, here we go.
Well, if we don't want to talk about derivatives and yes,
or
let's
erotic,
proceed.
or
Obviously,
erotic
I was just
hyperbole.
seeing something because I've been looking at way too much other extracurricular activities when it comes to this sort of thing. So ignore me.
Extracurricular activity with dresses? All right, here we go.
No, with calculus.
I knew what you meant. All right, here we go.
He's a traditionalist. He does fluxions. Actually, they look the same to me. Little cat.
Okay. All right, maybe the rest of the video she's just going to be showing us illusions.
Which is biggest?
Saw this one already.
Yeah, repetition here. Yeah, we know about that one too. It shows how you can crib stuff from visual illusion sites. Thank you so much. This is science.
Oh, my eyes hurt. Too much beer.
At least she's not trying for the McGurk effect, because then we'd have to hear her again.
I like the McGurk effect video. Anyone who has not seen it, go look it up.
Oh, that's the inside of my tokamak.
All right,
baby tokamak.
It's the inside of mine.
Well, we should have played this part before all the beer.
I'm lost to what's going on. I've only had 1.5.
It's like psychedelics without any psych. And now she puts it. What is her choice of music? Does she just kind of do this on an egg beater? Now try to find the nuts for that puppy. There is no curve on this grid, just parallel lines.
Okay, should we
In
be
Orphan
surprised?
Red,
Should
only
we be
disjointed images.
Should we be surprised that she threw in "there is no curve"?
If we don't get some Max Escher here in a hurry, I'm going to be disappointed. Marionettes walking up staircases upside down.
Indeed. Yeah, it looks like it's just illusions for the rest of this.
Yeah.
Well, it was cheap for her to do, and it also means that we don't have to hear her.
That is true. Oh, here you go. What were you requesting, RJ?
There's Escher! Ha ha! No marionettes, though.
Crypto, there is no curve, only Zool. Hey, Pink Floyd!
Yeah.
Wow.
Are we allowed to call Bah Humbug on the music choice?
Yeah, joy to the world. Why can't we do something else? The 12 Days of Christmas. 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping, 10 lords are leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids are milking, 7 swans are swimming, 6 geese are laying, 5 golden rings.
Normally, people have to pay RJ for this kind of thing. You don't get theater for free.
Yeah, well, you didn't get theater there, I can tell you that. You can even see the end of the hallway, but can we see the end of this show? Subliminal cat. Aren't you supposed to make the subliminal cat like about a frame or two long, not have it sit on long enough for you to see that it's a subliminal cat?
Apparently.
It's got to be on long enough to. It's got to be on long enough to tell you to back off.
You don't control me.
Cat picture. Yes, I do.
Oh, she's back. Oh, that was it. What's it say? Okay.
I will debunk this meme and show another experiment that challenges the slogan flat water equal flat earth. Let's shine some truth on our flat earth. Knowledge, not fairy tales.
Who is this image at the right? I'm sorry to interrupt. My bad.
Oh, it's strange. There is a vaguely as if you drained all the oceans of the world. So I guess she's figuring if you drained all the oceans of the world, they will all squiggle together at the bottom.
Well, again,
enough to stop
like
a small stream from flowing to its lowest point. Then what is stopping the oceans north of the equator from emptying into the ocean south of the equator? This is what the Earth would look like if we lived on a globe. Gravity is pseudoscience, a theory that cannot be proven.
See, that's the thing. They make reference that now again. She's I believe she is not endorsing this picture. This is a representation of what she says she's going to do in part 2. Anyway, the funny thing about this picture, excluding it from this video and using it as a straight flat earther argument, is it mentions gravity and assumes gravity holding the water to a sphere, the Earth. And at the same time, they say, well, if that was true, it's not sorry. What's to stop it from getting to its lowest point? Defining lowest point and down would require an additional sort of gravity below this
why wouldn't
sphere.
it just drip off the edges of the sphere down onto the whatever it is underneath, kind of like the paint company thing with the stuff dripping off of the paint can.
Indeed.
One of the things that sorry.
Yes.
Having communication issues in my own brain. One of the things that I've always wondered when it comes to flat earthers, why do they think that south is down?
Yeah.
Why is north not down? I mean, there's more people in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere. There's more continental landmass in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere.
They are secret spirits.
Why would you not automatically assume that the northern hemisphere is the down side of the sphere? It has more mass.
That's a good thing to bring
more
up.
stuff.
There's nothing spinning on an axis. You have even more choices. Why can't it be to either the left or the right? Some spot out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean or someplace in the middle of Africa as the top part. Why any spot?
And both of you, and that's what this says to me is, well, it doesn't actually say. It kind of, I don't even know if it even implies, but the fact that down, these folks consider down to be south, indicates to me that most of the people making these assertions are in the northern hemisphere. I'm just concerned that this is not another plague facing my country, the United States, which is that they're all here. All of these idiots are here. And that's,
right.
Because no stupid Australian Aborigine would be so harebrained to believe such a ridiculous thing.
Oh my God, I'm upside down. What am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
Why doesn't all the water drain up to Montreal?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd love to think that you're correct there, but unfortunately you're not, Si. There's a few people in my country that believe this rubbish as well.
Oh my!
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Say it ain't so, Simo. Say it ain't so.
Well, I will tell you one thing.
I have to wonder though, are the nut jobs on the opposite north-south hemispheres? Are your nut jobs right side up or upside down?
That is an interesting question.
Really difficult to tell. It depends what drugs they're taking.
That would account for it. Yeah. Okay. There we go.
If you wanted to go with a generality, do they consider themselves right side up because the Earth is flat, or not right side up because they don't want to be upside down because they don't grasp the fact that there's no upside down on a sphere?
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. To be honest, I mean,
why are they buying into the idea that the North Pole is at the center? Why not the South Pole?
Yeah.
And that there's something weird going on with the big landmass thing up in the ring around the Earth where the penguins don't live.
Or Pittsburgh.
And why can't Pittsburgh
be
the polar position? Yeah, there we go. Something against Pittsburgh, damn it.
It literally takes about 2.5 seconds to flip a globe upside down.
Yeah, I would think it would be something to do with that the flat Earth mumble swerve was quite popular in the 1880s, 1870s, 1880s, and also at that time, of course, the pole was a recent thing, wasn't it? North Pole.
Indeed.
So nobody had ever been to the south.
Neither. Well, in fact, they didn't reach the North Pole until like 1909 or so.
Oh,
so likely idea is that it was built around that, really.
Could very well be. And
ignorance, that would be another thing built around.
Yeah, nobody had been to the South Pole, so who could say,
Indeed. And Seamus, I do have some good news, though. Yeah, although it does seem there are flat earthers infecting other countries as well, I will give you the good news. As we promised Australia, yes, we will keep an eye on Ken Ham. He'll stay right here. We're tasked with keeping an eye on him. We will do our job.
The Australian saying, build that wall in a hurry.
Absolutely. So you don't have to worry about any Ken Hams showing up. All righty.
Or Ray Comforts.
Indeed.
Okay. RJ, I don't know where that talented.
Although, ironically, ham is an Anglo-Saxon word for farm.
Aha.
Ham and eggs, ham and eggs.
Okay, there's our
I think Paul G just issued a copyright strike. No, I'm kidding.
Damn it.
For a shout out? Never.
All right, Paul, if you issue a copyright strike for a shout out, then I'm going to have to take my voice off of your own video.
Paul would not do such a thing. Anyway.
Yeah,
I was joking. Paul's a great guy.
Yeah.
I've been a guest. In fact, Paul his videos are very, very good, and he's diligent and clever. And I have nothing but admiration for Paul Wilgio.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's actually, Paul, is actually where I found both Cy and you, RJ, is in the videos that you guys did together.
Yeah.
His caricature of me is horribly reasonable.
Well, I'll tell you guys, here's the truth. I hate Paul because his videos are better than mine. So
sheer pixel envy side.
Just pisses me off.
His videos are way better than mine.
Making
But
those good
that's why I
videos.
watch him, is to try and figure out ideas to steal.
And a test pattern is better than mine, so I'm not got anything to worry about.
Paul, what's the matter with you making good videos? God damn it. Anyway.
Yeah, who's the nut job false ass geologist that I was playing the part of in his video?
Oh, I don't even remember. I blocked that first.
What was his name?
I blocked that movie from
either way.
Austin, wasn't it? If it was on is Genesis history, wasn't that Stephen Austin and he's their geologist?
Austin! You were Austin.
Yeah.
Grand Canyon Monument to Catastrophe.
All right.
That was a hell of a lot of fun, actually.
Oh, yeah.
The whole process of sitting down and going through all that, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was
Well,
great
let's
being
not
a part of
forget
that.
poor Orphan here. Let's see what more sciencey stuff she's going to do.
I don't know if she has anymore. I think she's over just doing illusions.
This is her closing. She did the illusions, and now she's saying what she's going to do in her next show. And she's apparently going to do more on this whole water doesn't curve, blah, 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 is crap. And that's
threats. It's going to be a part 2.
Yeah, if water doesn't curve, why is there still water in the Great Lakes? And like water flowing off of Greenland.
The water just likes it a lot.
It's great, really. You'll notice there's no water in the crappy lakes anymore. All right,
they've all disappeared entirely here.
Yeah, the reason I brought this video up is the weirdness of it with Orphan Red making sense, and she's taken that's a big chunk out of the flat earther argument.
You think maybe that she was temporarily off the meds at some point?
I'm thinking
I don't think she's been on the meds yet.
I'm thinking she's been an actress this whole time. That's what I'm thinking, and a pretty good one. It fits right into Poe's law. Anyway, all right. Since let's see, we've been at this fun for about I don't know, over 3 hours now.
And 10 minutes.
Yep.
What do you say we?
2 hours of that was me talking.
Indeed. What do you say we move to Plug and Pug, shall we?
Okay.
All right.
Plug.
Enough torture for one night. I mean, okay. Here's the alternative. If we don't go to Plug and Pug, we've got Ken Ham, and we've got. Okay, you know what? No. I'm just gonna say let's go to Plug and Pug.
May I make a request?
Of course.
Can you leave the big blue ball and at least just leave us with a red-headed smile?
All right. Happy to hear. Let's get you to a nice smile. Not a smile.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that question.
No. Certainly not. Let's get a nice... Here, we'll
not
start
really-
here. And here, we'll start here. We'll stop it on a big, nice, pretty smile.
Ever lies flat.
No.
Only ever conforms.
Come on, smile.
To
be happy.
the-
There!
Here we go.
There we go. Happy joy.
No, that's the Joker. Come on.
Oh, that's a good smile.
It's a nice smile. Very nice smile.
She's a very attractive woman. Let her have a good smile and
indeed
end the night in a good positive mood. There's nothing wrong with that.
That is an excellent idea. Let us give credit to Orphan Red.
Carefully draped the sparkly pool table liner behind her for decorative effect.
And let us give her credit for having a nice
and for
smile.
all practical purposes, for comparing to the other times that Orphan Red has been online, she is actually being very modest.
Yes, I've noticed that as well. So, anyway, yeah,
that's the Vulcan wine.
That it is. Anyway, I just thought this video would be of interest because of the odd occurrences of logic that occurred during
Actual
it. I mean,
fact.
that kind of shocked the hell out of me when I first saw it. But
yeah, it's disorienting, man.
I thought she was going to go with the electric universe when I saw the comb.
Well, yeah. She went with static. That would have been the next thing. Yeah, I was rather shocked it didn't happen. All right.
Maybe she's building up to the finale.
Unleash Ragnapug.
We'll check. We'll have to
bring
check
on
back.
The Christmas pug.
There's no Christmas pug yet. There will be soon. All right. Let us move to the traditional plugging of one's own interests, starting with Captain. Captain,
Yeah.
tell us how cool you are, what you do, and what we can do to help you. Off you go.
Well, I'm a drafter by trade and finishing up my certificate, but I run a YouTube channel where I just kind of make whatever I feel like making, gaming, atheist, debates, it's whatever I make, whatever I'm in the mood for.
Excellent. Alrighty. Moving on to Andy. Tell us how cool you are and what you're doing.
All right. So, long story short, I'm at the present moment, aside from running the backyard science page, I may have an opportunity to go and work in the land of the midnight sun. And I've been working on getting there very, very diligently. So that entails a lot of new certifications to reaffirm the fact that I'm not a dumbass. I'd like to pretend that that's all a joke, but you'd be surprised at the number of people that apply for jobs thinking that it'll be gifted to them. But yeah, I'm working on that. I've been working a lot of really long hours, back in school. A little old to be back in school, but sometimes you have to re-up on certain aspects of education. So I've been focusing very diligently on that so that potentially I may have a job in the land of the midnight sun for 6 months coming up in the next year or so, and I'm extremely excited about that. And that's about all I got.
Hey,
Anchorage, Fairbanks, what? Any particular spot?
Woohoo!
McMurdo. Oh, way up in there. Woo!
Sorry, got a little happy there.
I was gonna say, didn't Jeranism issue a video challenge to do the 360-degree sun? You gonna take it up, Andy?
Not only that, but I would like to invite him down there so that I can kick him in his, well, the only thing
Where
is
make sure to document it. We want that on video.
Yeah, I want to see that.
All right. Everyone noticed that there's still no results from. Oh, by the way, remember his promised 1 week warning for his experiment? At which point I got all happy because I can get anywhere in the country.
So we're waiting for the 1 week warning on the 1 week warning?
There was no 1 week warning. There was a warning on the order of hours as to when the experiment was taking place, not 1 week as promised.
And so he supposedly did this experiment?
Oh, he definitely did. He did the first experiment with just nebulous results that he couldn't provide results because of, and et cetera, excuse. We know why. It's because
I am learning how to be a penguin, but I'm learning how to be a penguin with scientific instruments in my hand and probably a shovel.
There we go.
In fact,
Penguins
probably
live in the
more than
southern
anything
hemisphere.
else, a shovel.
No. Anyway, right. First experiment he went and did. He went and did the first experiment, allegedly, and of course we all knew it was overly complicated, and as a result, it was going to have no discernible results. Oh, miracle! It didn't have any results. So then he was going to go do it a second time, which he again announced with hours warning, where instead of sticking poles in buckets and all that foolishness, they were going to erect plywood, big flat things, because that was the problem. Not that the whole experiment was designed to fail.
Manipulated to high heaven and back.
Yeah, and they had no conclusive results, except for one thing that kind of hinted at a spherical Earth. And as a result, this was all interpreted to be, no conclusive results. See how that works out? The one thing that was observable, according to them, kind of implied a spherical or a curve. And this means
data unless it conflicts with what you want to be true, and then stop.
Anyway, so as a surprise to all, no results. And there's no mention of it. He's made no mention. He talked about it briefly on Globebusters, saying this is what went wrong, that's what went wrong, etc., etc. But they had to measure stuff. They had to have results, and none of that's been released. So anyway, wow.
Almost like he's reluctant to be observed by independent witnesses.
So it would seem. And geez, right in the middle of plug time, I had to throw that in. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see if Hillel is still technically alive. Hill, are you alive?
Hillel, wake up!
Okay, no, we may have killed him.
The end of the world.
Okay, I'm sorry. Real quick.
Yeah.
I do have to add this in one more time for all the flurfers that might ever sit down and watch anything actually educational.
What are the odds?
I brought this up before, and I will bring it up 1 or 2 more times, and then I'll bring it up 10 or 15 more times. Pick's theorem. If you ever want to sit down and actually try and rough estimate or calculate, for that matter, because you can't actually do it to a pretty exact number, the area of a surface that happens to be flat, Pick's theorem will allow you to do that. About a year ago, since we're coming up on a pretty cool episode tomorrow, I hope, one of the first things that I had ever brought up was Pick's theorem. And the fact that if you wanted to prove the Earth was flat, you could use the shorelines of the Earth as it sits with Pick's theorem to prove it is a two-dimensional object.
Well, that'd be more of that mathematics stuff.
Yeah.
Pick's theorem is really fun. You can utilize it for a lot of... If you ever want to determine the area of something that you have unknown distances, lengths, and measures of, Pick's theorem is how you go about that.
Oh,
so just wanted to toss that one out there one more time before the little anniversary show. I think that's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Well,
curious how our science-loving flurfers have failed to hit on that.
No flurfer has ever even attempted to touch Pick's theorem.
We're in trouble, guys. God is in the public chat. Oh, we are screwed.
Ooh, that's nice.
We are screwed.
Oh, shit.
We are screwed.
God, Yahweh. Oh, God.
I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Oh, man.
Nice of him to make public appearances that way. Cure Alzheimer's, Buster.
That's really all we ever asked. Is that you want to cure atheism? Show up.
Yeah. Well, there he is. We gotta believe.
Indeed.
I better start repenting now, because a couple of my videos I call him an immoral, idiot and a flat out retard for his design flaws.
Oh, but at least Fino is safe.
Sorry, God.
Ernst Haeckel described God as a gaseous vertebrate.
Well, the good news is Fino is safe. He has an iron chariot. So
chariot of iron. Oh, yeah. was it that single atom of iron that was taken from the Himalayas?
Oh, that's the RJ, you and I have to have a talk about some of the stuff that took place in the Black Hills in the oh god, I would say between 98 and 2002. There was some I'm not going to leave any spoilers, actually. You and I just need to chat about that.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been in the Black Hills.
We've established that Hillel is, in fact, dead. Until next week. It's like Kenny in South Park.
Yeah,
oh my god, you killed Hillel.
Comes back
yeah, it's been like 4 hours.
His avatar is there. The Seattle skyline is there, and there's no Hillel awake.
Indeed.
I did try to wake him up with the blood-curdling call.
Absolutely. You woke. Congratulations, you woke me up. Thanks. On that
We're
note,
trying to nod off, but no. Who the hell is that?
all right. On that note, it is RJ. It's your turn. Tell us how we can help you do what you do.
I do the Troubles in Paradise project. I try to fillet creationists one source at a time. I'm trying to document every damn piece of crap that they've said and make it all available in a gigantic resource. I'm trying to survive day at a time. I'm trying to sell books that I've written that are really, really good. I'm trying to get more people like the crowd to show up at my GoFundMe site to show that there are lots and lots of people out there that go, thumbs up, here's some little bit of money. And that kind of sums it up.
There you go. Everybody support RJ. He does kick-ass work. And like that.
You do kick-ass work. Your Phileas Fogg book is fucking awesome.
Thank you. I would love to buy my novel. I'm almost finished with the second one.
Oh, there's
I look forward to being able to buy the second one. So get to writing.
And that endorsement from
Andy in fact, after I'm through here, I will be returning to working on chapter 29.
And that endorsement from Andy. Keep in mind, if Andy is even slightly displeased with something, he makes it very clear. So an endorsement from Andy has value.
I know a lot of very hypercritical people that the fact that they said that they liked the book meant they liked the book.
Absolutely.
They're not the kind of people who like things casually.
we are not casual likers. Yeah. All right, so if you can,
okay, nice crap, but no.
If you want, if you would like me to word it more elegantly, RJ, I do believe that your novel is very well read, very well rounded, and it expresses the ideas of the characters in a manner in which 21st century Americana novelists have not done in a great amount of time. I do believe that your particular novel happens to capture the enthusiasm and the excitement of the character and the reader into a zone in which, yeah, no, I'm not a critic. That's not something I can do, but I did the best I could.
You did a damn fine job. So what you're saying is buy the damn books.
As a shameless curiosity thing, what was your most favorite characters or scenes or moments? What stands out in your head?
Oh, damn, you're putting me on the spot.
Welcome to the spot.
He wants to make sure you read it, Andy.
Yeah, no, I'm genuinely curious because I love to see what everybody picks something different out of it. I know Eat Meal loved the scene where Passepartout throws Fox overboard. That's his favorite moment from it.
What about
Fox is a villain, so he deserved being thrown overboard, but it was still rather shocking.
I'm gonna be real honest with you, RJ. I have a very abnormal analytical mind where I see okay. I can literally sit down and I can read the Sunday newspaper and I start viewing everything as an equation. I'm borderline disabled mentally in that faculty because I can't keep focus. And I can't move forward from that once I'm actually there. So I would say
mathematical term. The Passepartout plus Phileas Fogg plus Aouda plus Thomasina Maker minus Augustus Moran divided by the Great Eastern and the Kestrel equals a rip-snorting good tale.
Okay, and you'll all have to buy his books to find out what that means. So
yeah.
Anyway,
links at my website.
Indeed, and Seamus, you're up if you want to tell us about you, or you could just say get on with the pug. Your choice.
Okay, well, I'll just say I put a link in the side chat there if you can put it in outside. I've kind of been doing Brother John's show, which is called the Brojo Show, which is the real Brojo for those out there that know that there's an imposter. And yeah. He does various hangouts and stuff, normally on bizarre news stories or weird stories, but also on other things like particular points about epistemology or Could be about science, etc. So have a
Gotcha.
listen, subscribe to the channel, and much appreciate it.
All right, and if you don't mind, just say hi in a public chat so I can give you a wrench. You should be able to throw up links when you need to. Oh, sorry, spam.
Oh, right, cool.
Do-do-do-do.
Took me a little while to get there.
Not a problem. Getting bored.
Oh, actually, I get to do it. Hang on, I've got another computer on. That doesn't seem to be working.
Alrighty, I'll just post a link you did, and as soon as you get around
There
to
you
it.
go.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I've done it now.
Here we go. Let us give you Spanner. There you go.
All right.
You are Spannered. You may now post links at as you see
Thank you very
fit.
much. I'll do it later. It's on a different
Alrighty.
computer.
Okay, here comes the link.
Crypto goes pug.
Oh, okay, we're calling on the pug. Got it. Wait, what the hell is this?
Still waiting for Simos's link.
Oh, no, don't worry about that. It'll happen at some point. I'll put it in links afterwards or something.
Alrighty. On that note, oh, geez, plugs. I never do plugs. You're all here. What the hell do I need to plug? But I will mention once again. For here, it's later today at 8 p.m.
Yes, later on this morning.
At 8 p.m., we will be doing the anniversary / 2000 sub show. We'll cover.
Going to be there?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Slash is going to be there? Sorry.
We will. We'll be covering a little bit of history, how Science Strike Force formed, what our goals are. You'll get to hear the code. We have a code of conduct, and after you hear the code of conduct, you'll be able to tell me how I have
Has
violated
there been a solid volunteer for the code of conduct yet, or
to actually do the reading? Not yet, because it is a little bit long. We've had no vote. Maybe we'll have by tomorrow. If not, I mean, I can take it. I don't mind. I just figured I don't want to be make it seem like the whole group is just me. Me. I just thought somebody else would like to do the reading.
So I didn't volunteer for it on the G+ page because I did not feel that I was a founding member. As per what you have said, I do fall into that new category.
Are you volunteering?
Yes.
You're a good guy. People get tired.
I absolutely will volunteer to read the Code of Conduct for Science Strike Force on the anniversary episode. If you're willing to invite me to an anniversary episode as a founding member, I feel it's my due diligence to read the Code of Conduct, provided I have it at least like 6 or 8 hours in advance.
Not a problem. And then no doubt there'll be a discussion as to how we have violated that code repeatedly. But not without provocation. We were basically forced to violate the code, and we try to stick to it when we can. Anyway.
I was fully expecting Dev to sit down and
well, remember that with Dev, you've noticed his absence, and I will tell you that's not because he wanted to be absent from movie night. His work schedule has just been switched.
I know it's been torment. I mean, it's been hellish, realistically. I mean,
yeah, and he was always he's always been a strong voice for let's stop the bullshit and just have some logic going on in.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. And anyway, so yeah, that's later today. That would be Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be doing that show, and I hope all of you join us. We'll have fun. You'll see. Alrighty.
Bring on the bug. Bring on the bug.
Alrighty.
Bring on the bug.
Here comes the pug. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We had a great time as usual. Couldn't do it without all you. And to the panel, I bow to you once again for your wisdom during this show. Here comes the pug.
Cute pug.
Oh, yeah. Okay, banter. We're supposed to have banter.
Yeah, well, Yeah, Pug's saying, hey, she's not as cute as me.
Well, I'll say this. No dog is as cute as my dog, and I swear I have no owner bias in that one.
Well, we await in a future show images of said cute dog. Because you can't just make a claim like that.
Okay.
We should do a canine episode someday.
Not a bad idea.
I need to get her.
Instead of our avatars, we use our canine avatar.
Everybody should dress up as a pug. Everybody should dress up as a pug and come on camera.
If I'm coming on camera, I'm gonna need to break out my old comedy routine. Where when I first go out on the stage, I have a paper bag on my head, take it off, and put it back on. Because I mean, if my face isn't gonna laugh, nothing will.
Hey, let us not forget to thank God Himself for actually joining us in the public chat. Who was it? Who saw that coming? I did not.
Yeah, way to go.
It was foreseen centuries ago in the Book of Spargo.
Yeah, isn't that Akubai chapter 4?
It was a book on asparagus in German, and they happened to mention that God was going to do this when the internet was invented. I don't know why they were thinking that, but that's it.
Well, you know, a couple of thousand years of sitting around waiting for broadband. Oh my God!
Exactly. Yeah. He was going to come in, when they figured out how to do radio, but he couldn't quite get the licensing fees.
Oh God, we're missing an opportunity here, everybody.
And on the bright side as well, at least he hasn't drowned everybody.
What did you say, Syed?
We're missing an opportunity here. Oh God, Yahweh, please tell us which religion is right.
And what is the question, the answer to which is 42?
Yeah, 42 wasn't that much fun. 43's turning out to be a lot better.
Nice banter tonight, guys, by the way.
None of them are right according to God.
Yeah,
well, that's the church of the none of the above. I like that one.
Damn good answer. All right, good night all.